Welcome to the PUBG Mobile Club Open full split for the EUS region, brought to you by Xiaomi. Enjoy a super fast and lag-free experience with the powerful Xiaomi Note 5G. My name's Imperium with the wonderful Zute, as we're here to bring you the action of day number one, the start of it, the group stages. Zute, I'm nervous. I can only imagine how the players are feeling. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great, but speaking of nervousness, I also feel nervous. I didn't think I would feel nervous. This is like my second time around PMCO, but just like I'm trying to put myself with the player's mindset. My heart
I
is
know, right?
actually beating right now.
Dude, it's pretty wild. Like me and you, we casted PMCO NA in the last bit. I traveled over to North America. Hypothetically, I was still here, but now you're coming over to my region. So I think there's going to be definitely some comparisons that's going to be there, plus what you've brought into the mix in terms of how you've played across the year. So there's going to be a lot that we're going to be getting into over today, over the remaining 6 days, as all these teams are really battling out to qualify for the finals and of course the PMPL itself. Why don't we get into the actual format and how the PMCO works if you're new to all of this stuff?
Yeah, for sure. So right now we're in the group stages. We're at the very beginnings of PMCO. And over the course of this week and next week, these teams will be battling for a spot into the PMCO Finals, which then leads into the PMPL. So it's a grind fest for all of these teams out here, but this is where it all begins.
Yeah, it really does, and especially because it's day one. And don't get me wrong, we'll get into it more of how important and invaluable it can be to have a good start to a tournament, and especially a tournament like this with such high stakes on board. But it's definitely not the end of the world. Let's see what all these teams can do, and in terms of how they're going to accumulate the points, why don't we just get real quickly into the points? This is the format, to be fair, Zute, where pretty much all these teams will know about it by this time. If you're not familiar with the points, would you be living under the rock for quite a while? It's 15 for first, traveling all the way down.
Yeah, and 1 kill, 1 point. And the points do add up for the kills. That's one thing I'm most excited to see about which teams are going to rack up the kill points that ultimately determine the make it or break it. Because that's how it's played out every single time. It really does come down to the kill points.
Yeah, that's something I'm really, really very much going to be having a look at, especially because you will have teams that will probably do pretty well in the groups but might falter in the finals, and part of that can be because they're just too passive in the group. So I'm going to be looking out for those teams that are just a little bit more aggressive than the others, even if they don't finish the best in the groups. To me, it kind of tells a bit of a bigger sign for them coming into the finals. So points on kill wise will definitely count. There is, of course, outside of the PMPL spot in the final spot, there is a prize pool. There is money for these teams on the line. It will add to a little bit of motivation. And hey, look, 4K for first place. It's not to be sniffed at, Zute.
Yeah, money is money. Like, if you tell me, hey, do you want 4K? Who wouldn't? Do you want $500? I mean, sure, why not? Like, money is money. So, I mean, it's not a competition unless if there's some money to be had, right, Imperium?
It's so true. It's just like money is money. I don't think I could have summed it up better. So that, yeah, I'll take a little bit of money here or there. Can't go wrong with that. I know when it comes to in game, it's not really going to be the main focus. But when it comes to that last day where an extra position grants your team an extra $200, that will have an impact on the scores. That will motivate the teams to just eke out a slightly better performance, even if it's at the detriment of another team not making it to the next stage, that kind of thing. So, man, there's a lot in online, between points, between placements, between money. And then you have the schedule. You have the daily schedule for today's games. 4 a day, not too much, not too little. We start with Erangel and we end on Erangel, Zute.
Yeah, the classic Erangel finish and the classic Erangel start. I mean, it's a tale as old as time. This map order is, in my opinion, perfect. Like Erangel, arguably the best competitive map to play on. Then you sprinkle in some quick, hot action with Sanhok. Well, it could be quick, it could be slow. You never know if it's going to be snakes or if it's going to be hot drops right off the bat because the map is so small. And then the dynamic of Miramar, right? You bring it out way back. You got these sprawling mountaintops. You have these huge ridges and dips. And it's this map order. There's a reason why we do this map order every PMCO, because I think it's just the best map order to play with.
Overall, it is, and I'm probably going to be looking out for Miramar more than the other maps because Erangel, it's kind of a little bit of a neutral ground. Technically, it's a map that teams should know the most about, but I really feel like Miramar is a much stronger test of a team that are an actual team built together because you're able to cover those ridges, right? I don't know if you'd agree with me on that note, at least.
Absolutely. Oh, 100%. Miramar is a team that's, I feel like, the most adaptable, can make it through. Sanhok, I think, is the team that's come the most prepared in terms of, this is what we're doing. This is Sanhok. We're taking these routes. We're fighting these positions. And Erangel, like you mentioned, you summed it up perfectly. Even grounds for all the players competing.
For sure. Well, we are going to be, of course, getting into specific teams. We do have the research done. We know what we're coming into. But before that, let's take it to a bit of a quick break from our sponsors.
Xiaomi.
And we're back just like that. Quick as a button. Day one, Zute. Look, 2 groups, A, B. You'll have C and D tomorrow. Of course, 32 teams divided into 8. Like, how important to their confidence is it for them to get a good start in this day one?
Day for a PMCO especially, since a lot of these teams are newer to the competition and whatnot.
Yeah,
getting a good start is absolutely crucial, especially if your team is more on the inexperienced side. Once you get to the highest levels, if you start off bad, there's that bounce back factor because they've been through it before. But as far as PMCO goes, I'm willing to guess the teams that pop off in the first 2 games or so, they're going to have a nice, easy cruise to the end of the day after match 4.
Okay, that's a pretty bold kind of statement to make. I'm not going to disagree with you, just based on what we've seen in previous PMCOs. But it's definitely a bit of a bold statement. Let's see if hopefully some of these teams can at least live up to that and put themselves in that high note. And let's talk about some of these teams. Let's have a look at all of the groups that are playing in the PMCO EU West 2021 fall split. All of these teams have put in the blood, the sweat, the tears, the qualification. They've done the preparation. They've done their homework. And now this is their time to shine. Group A, Group B, who are you looking out for?
I gotta take a look at Entropic. Like, you've done your homework. You shared some info with me, but Entropic coming into today, that's the team you told me to watch out for. And like, based on the reasons you gave me, huge. Like, I mean, they have a coach provided from their org. That's always big when it comes to like the ground stages, especially like PMCO. But what are some of the other reasons why you told me about this team and to watch out for Entropic in particular?
Look, Entropic have been in multiple PMCOs. They are like furniture in an old house at this stage when it comes to PMCO, but they haven't gone further, Zute. They haven't broken through the
Oh,
cusp of PMPL. They haven't broken through that wall. And I can't help but think, when is it going to be their time? Do they actually have what it takes to get to PMPL? Is this their maximum? I ask those questions in the best possible way, of course, but I can't help but have those thoughts. And is this their last chance? Is this their last hope? I hope not, but I would love to see them in PMPL, and I think they are one of the teams to definitely look out for.
yeah. I feel like with this team, we'll see shines of brightness, right? Because they have the experience. They've been around here before. But like you mentioned, can they manage it past the finish line, make it past PMCO? That just all comes down to the steady nerves, right? Can they this time around really hold it down? And that doesn't go just for Entropic. I've seen so many teams just, have huge sparks of, brightness throughout the match, but then that nervousness kicks in, they choke, and then it just falls apart. And it happens more in PMCO than any other
For sure.
stage of the tournament, in my opinion.
And that's where a team like Daos Legion can definitely benefit from having AWM Detati in their team, because he's played in the PMPL last split. So he has that kind of experience of competing with the best in a bit of a stressful situation, trying to get through into the super weekends, I think, as an example. So I'm hoping his kind of experience can really add to the value of Daos Legion succeeding in this PMCO.
Okay, yeah, experienced players are a definite advantage. Like, not just in terms of they have the experience, they can play better, but more of a morale booster, if you ask me. I remember when I was competing the very first time, the biggest difference was just the team mentality. It wasn't so much how good was our strategy, how good was our practice, because it's like, this is PMCO. A lot of you don't know what's going to happen. And a lot of times, PMCO's another learning stage. It's not a stage where it's like, okay, we've refined everything, this is going to work this time. It's a learning stage. So the biggest thing outside of what you've already done is just team mentality. And the players with the most experience, like you said, usually those players have the right mindset when things go bad, or even when things go well. They make sure teams don't get too overly excited, like, yeah, we won the first game, let's do whatever now. But like, yeah, dial it in and cruise through the day by day, match by match.
Yeah, I actually love that you bring that element onto the table, right? The whole getting too cocky, right? Getting a little bit too ahead of yourself. We have seen that from teams before, and then they end up maybe falling flat on their face. Not completely, but where they get put down way more than 2 pegs. It can be 3 or 4 pegs in that regard. So I think doing well, it is important to have that experience to stay grounded within the moment. And like you said, take a day by day, game by game. One team that I'm also looking out for is FTY. This is a team that won the ESL Mobile Open that's recently happened. They are made up of players that have a relevant amount of experience, but I would definitely say haven't hit the greatest of heights. But I see a certain sparkle in how they play. Biscay, their player, I could easily see him be the MVP of the PMCO, backed up by fantastic support from the likes of Addis and Zodox. I don't know exactly why, because they could, of course, struggle. But from what I've seen, how much they've improved over the last 5 to 6 months, I'm putting a decent bit on FTY doing well in the PMCO.
Okay, not just FTY, you already named a potential MVP of PMCO. I mean, Biscay, right? I'll definitely keep an eye out for him. I mean, this guy must have done some amazing things in your eyes if you're already going to put a potential MVP title onto him. Like, no pressure, right? I mean, Imperium.
I know, right? Jeez, even I'm starting to sweat at my own statement, for God's sake, man. Jesus.
It might be a
Oh
confidence
man.
booster, honestly. Sometimes when players hear their name, like this player, in my opinion, is gonna be MVP. Like that could be a double edged sword. They could crack under pressure, or they're like, man, this guy Imperium, he's got my back. He knows I got what it takes, and then it might just go the other way around. So I'm excited to see, but not just for Biscay. I mean, PMCO. Anybody could really make their name at this stage. You
Of
never know
course.
what's gonna happen, man.
Yeah, like the platform is set for you to, mark your territory, to make a name for yourself, to
Mhm.
really set the world alight. Going back to last year's full split, you played for Execute, and you started at
Mhm.
PMCO, and you got
Mhm.
through the PMPL and you made it to PMGC. And yes, a massive part of that, I'm sure, would have been because you brought that level of experience. But at the end of the day, they started here, right? They started at the bottom.
Yeah, the Cinderella story is real. It's happened before. Like PMCO, you don't like for the viewers that are watching right now, right? You guys are here. You're here from the beginning. So I just want to say there's a chance one of these teams you're watching, there's a chance, yes, these teams are new. They're not your established PMPL teams, but there's a chance that one of these teams is going to make it all the way through PMGC. So keep your eyes out. Notice which teams might have the potential. And it's always great to say, I was there at the beginning when these guys are competing in
Exactly.
PMCO. I believed in them then, and now they're in, the global championships. It could easily happen right now.
Exactly. Couldn't have said that better myself. Massive shout out to all the Romanian players that are playing in the PMCO. We have like something like 7 Romanian teams. It's been a real massive growth in terms of as a region over the last kind of year. So big shout out to them. But look, we're about to get into game one. As I said, brought to you by the wonderful folks over at Xiaomi. You can enjoy fantastic lag-free experience with the Xiaomi powerful Red Note 10 5G. There you go. I got it right for this game on. Man, we're going on to Erangel. Zute,
Yeah.
I want to lay down. What are you looking out for?
Erangel, it really all comes down to the rotations on Erangel. But
Yep.
before we even get into the rotations, it's day one. The hot drops. I mean, it usually doesn't happen on Erangel because the map is so big,
Okay.
and you could see teams coming in. You could take a car, drive far out to another city, but you never know. Like I said, it's day one. Anything can happen, and that's what's exciting about today.
Yeah, you know what? Well played on the hot drop. Let's see what happens if we are getting in to the hollow grounds of Rango for game number 1. It's where it all began for PUBG Mobile over 3 years ago. It's where it's gonna begin for this PMCO full split 2021. The playing path is set. The players are dropping. Man, let's get this show on the road, Zute.
Yeah, show on the road indeed. And the very first plane path of the day, the very first match of the day, Erangel. By the looks of it, it is as nice as it possibly can be. So, I mean, I was talking about hot drops, but it seems unlikely with this plane path. Like it's an even cross right across the map. Every team should be able to get to wherever they want to get to with no real problems.
You're looking about for hot drops. I do see initially 2 teams looking to be heading towards Yasnaya. Now, that's not too bad of an area for 2 teams to
Mhm.
go. It is a kind of city that can hold multiple teams rather cleanly without them really engaging on each other. Conquer,
Mhm.
actually, sorry, not Conquer, Quattro Fakers going for an early drop and a passive drop by Kameshki. They'll be able to loot up fairly quickly, and depending on this phase on circle, move in pretty swiftly into the circle.
Now, one thing that stands out that I'm seeing right now is Pachinki. No one's taken Pachinki. And speaking about circle, first circle is up on the screen opposite of the plane path. So this gives a good chance for some of these teams to get a very central position very early on. But what do you take about Pachinki? There's no one there.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. That is, of course, to me a product of it's just a product of the fact that it's really hard to um get a picture of where all of these teams are dropping. I know there's been various scrims over the past week to 2 weeks for these PMCO teams, but on every day, for example, you could have had one of the teams from Group C or Group D dropping in Pachinki. So you're thinking, okay, well, that's fine. We can't drop in Pachinki. That could be the case. So it's not a bad thing, but I'm hoping that teams from Group A and B look at this and go, okay, well, game one of the day, nobody dropped Pachinki, or day one, nobody dropped Pachinki. There's a free place for us to go in day 2, day 3, day 4.
Yeah, and the reason why I asked about Pachinki is because Pachinki, it goes for the same for every map, right? When you start out in the game at the very center of the map, probability-wise, you have the highest chance to make the first fast rotation to whatever first circle pops up. Now, you never know what circle is going to be, but like I said, probability-wise, Pachinki is, the place you want to be at for Erangel, especially if it's open. Now, you mentioned Group C and D. My question now is there like a big dog in Group C or D that has got the Group A and B so scared to go Pachinki that even though they're not playing, no one's dropping there? Or is this, like you said, it's a day one thing? As these matches goes by, we'll see team adapt and teams, take certain spots that are open on certain days.
It's a really good question, to be fair. Really good question. MFE Sports, Dominovsky, Gustik, Nator, Virus. They are a Czech Republic team, believe it or not. And I've even, in Tropic, our Czech Republic team, we have another Czech Republic team in Team Kingsman. So that's a region that is also definitely growing on board. And look at that, perfect timing as well. We see the Kingsmen. So it's great to see these regions really start to improve and show up in the likes of the PMCO, of course, PMPL otherwise. So let's see what they can do from that Western position.
Yeah, now we're starting to see teams make their rotations. We're already 4 minutes and 20 plus seconds into the match, and we see a buggy team right here, Tip Top Esports. Now, you told me Tip Top, this is the same. Oh, hold that thought. We see another team driving right on by. 3 players just hopped out. If a buggy wheel is popped right now, that could be the first death of the game. But it looks like, they were stopping for another car. Oh, the timing. Ooh, my heart just kind of, started pounding for just a second there. But it looks like they're chasing them down. They might go ahead.
So no. I think they're switching their rotation and they're adapting to the fact that Tip Top have, just from a timing standpoint, been able to get ahead. Now, one thing that I would definitely like to look out for is if the IGL of X team makes a note of the timing of the rotation, and in future Erangel games, if we see a similar kind of circle, X team adjusts their timing of their rotation from Yasnaya, so they get ahead of Tip Top in future games. So that's going to be interesting. See how that plays out. But for the time being, nice adaptation from X team.
Yeah, they just went for the vehicles. They didn't try to rush the crossing, and of course, they were scouting. They were watching the players. They were counting the amount of vehicles that kept driving, and they probably counted all 4. So they make that easy rotation across. I'm glad to see that they didn't just stop rotating. That's one thing that you hate to see, especially in PMCO teams that make contact with the enemy team visually, and then they get scared and they completely stop what their plan was. So good adapting, scouted out, and they kept on going. And Tropic, this was the team we're talking about. We only see one player on screen right there, so I'm imagining they have a huge split going on with their loot, which to me is an experienced team, thing. Being confident to be able to start out the match split away from your teammates. But that could go both ways, as we see right here. Starkey might catch himself in some trouble, but no, he's going to rotate right on by clean.
For day one, I don't know if that's a sign of confidence or a sign of negligence when you split drop so heavily. I think it can work both ways, but I know we've seen in other tournaments where teams split drop on the first day and they get caught out, and then I'm standing there thinking, well, it's the first day. You don't know exactly where all the teams are rotating. Why are you taking that risk? But confidence is a big factor. We talked about it already in the pre-show. So Starkey and the whole of Entropic definitely showing their confidence at the start of this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. If you're split dropping and we catch you split and you die, we're gonna be like, oh, what is this team doing? Must be the inexperience. But if we see you split dropping and it works and your team groups up fast, you got all that loot for yourself because you're split across the map, you know, we praise you. So I mean, that's just how these competitions go. If you do well, you do well. If you don't do well, we're gonna call you out on it. And that's how it goes, man.
Are you basically trying to say that we're kind of assholes?
No. It's we keep you guys accountable. All right, we'll praise you
Fair
if
enough,
praise
man.
is needed. If it messes up, it messes up. It's just that's it. That's all it is.
True.
Black and white. I mean, I'm sorry.
No, it's fair enough, fair enough. Now, we're getting close to the end of Phase 1, Zute. These teams are definitely rotating somewhat early into the circle. They have been throughout this blue zone closing, and the river is something to think about. One team that I'm really happy with their rotation is actually Tip Top, who nearly came across X Team earlier, because they've gone to the square buildings that's by the river of George Paul. Now, there's multiple teams somewhat around them, but preparation for the first 3 circles, it's a bang on spot to hold on to.
Oh, the cube block, right? It's right next to the bridge, the river. There's a watchtower. That spot is so strong. And there, you see it right there on your screen. Smack in the middle, Tip Top. And it's no surprise. They were the first team that we saw on camera rotating, right? And guess where they rotate first? The strongest position in the first circle. So this Tip Top team, they're also split CPDD on the far east side of the Tip Top team. So I love that split they have there. They're not just stacked up in the middle. And the next circle comes out, perfect circle for Tip Top.
It's a pretty good circle for Tip Top, but I would argue that this is a really tricky circle because Shooting Range Hill, I find, is a bit of a difficult area to really hold down as a team. The best place is actually where X Team are at the moment, that kind of compound. You have a little bit of a hillside surrounding it. I think they're in the best position so far in this phase 2.
Yeah, it's phase 2 though, right? You never know what best position could suddenly change into the worst position.
Fair.
I mean, we talk about the hard shifts when it just shifts completely opposite of where you are, and then all the plans you had for defending that position just go out the window, and it's like, all right, get in your cars, we gotta move.
Now you see Fast Romanian side, uncalled for an Albanian team close by to them. I'm curious though, Zute, what you think of this Ruins position. I'm personally not a fan of it, at least where Fast Romania are, because you don't really get that much information, and you're technically stuck in a little bit of a corner that, as of the time being, is on the southeastern edge of the circle. It's not really forward thinking, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, that position, not the best. The only advantage I would say to that position, because you mentioned they're so far on the southeastern side, is we're only in circle 2.
Yeah.
If the circle hard shifts a certain way, they could do one of those looping rotations, right? They could go back the way they came from.
That's fair, mate.
Loop all the way around. And now this only works for like the first couple of circles, like the first 3 circles. But after circle 3, you're really pressing your luck with those looping rotations in the blue zone. You know, that's when things start chunking and everything starts getting more and more condensed. And oh, we missed it. Entropic, the team we were talking about, they're down a player now, and they're down a player now. First death right there. I missed it in the kill feed, but oh man. Okay. Is this
on one
where
hand,
go on?
Is this where we want? No. Go on.
Is this where we talk about how, hey, maybe if they weren't so split in the beginning, that one player might have not... I mean, I set it up for myself, But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, I was going to say, on one hand, I'm surprised, but on the other hand, I'm kind of not, because this is what Entropic have always had a bit of a reputation for doing, is that, now, not that they've been in a lot of engagement so far in this game, but they do lose kind of players somewhat between the early and the mid game, and they might have one or two players up in late game. It's very rare that they have more than 2 players up in late game, and I don't say that in a bad way. It's just a kind of matter of fact, so to speak. But I was talking to Sans yesterday, and he said that the team are the most prepared. They played more unofficial tournaments. They feel they can break out and qualify for PMPL, but they're also aware of the big teams that are in the lobby around them. But with a little bit of a different roster, he's happy and confident how the team are going to perform.
Okay, well, they are going to be 3-man for the rest of this first match, and that circle shift does them no favors whatsoever. But Tip Top, they're still there. They're still in a great position, and I love how you called it out. That rotation to that cube building right there. Like, even you and I both know, we've seen it so many times. Teams that take that position usually just tend to do so well throughout the rest of the match, but we'll see what happens on this circle shift as teams are going to start rotating right on in.
I love La Familia. They've gone on to Everest. Now, Phase 3, Everest is definitely tricky, but I can appreciate it. The Kingsmen, they lose a player. The Jerry goes down. Nice play by MF Sports, catching him off guard on the rotation. That's a free early kill for MF.
These kill points are starting to come in, and they will stack up. We still got 62 alive. I'm actually quite impressed that the teams have managed their rotations pretty well. And this rotation, this MF team, they're going to do a wide looping rotation. Looks like they're driving out of the way, out in towards the blue to loop back down. So let's see where that puts them later on. Kingsman here on the edge of the circle, but they do have the bridge control. So on the next shift, they will be able to go on down. And all these teams right now in their cars scrambling, trying to find that position. This is one of the toughest things to do in PMCO because you don't have the footage yet on day one. You don't know where these teams are usually set up in. So it's kind of a learn as you go process right now.
Definitely. And it is what I expected, right? Having 16 teams, 62 players up at the 15-minute mark. Day one, it's always passive. It's rare that you see day one of a big tournament that isn't, for the most part, passive. The Quattro Fakers, they're looking to go past X-Team. X-Team takes a couple of shots on towards a Nightmare in amongst the firing line, but for the most part, Quattro Fakers are going to get away with it. Godlike stops, probably try and provide a little bit of cover and gets into the vehicle with his teammate as they move deeper into this circle. For the time being, good rotation from Quattro Fakers, but they also need to be aware that there's definitely going to be a team in front of them as well.
Yeah, they're running straight into Tip Top, and now they've kind of put themselves in the sandwich between X Team and Tip Top. So they got to keep moving, keep readjusting. Yeah. And here we see two teams right next to each other. This is when it gets really difficult. When another team edges in right onto your side and you're already on the edge of circle, doesn't give you much room to work with. But this next circle shift, it happens so quick. We just saw all the teams get situated, and now we're on to another shift, and Tip Top. But Quattro all put themselves in a good position. Oh, dude, this circle too. We've got water and we got these rivers. Oh man.
Okay, this is where the attitudes. This is where the attitudes you really need to switch up and going for placement to going for kills. This is a good push, but Rex gets knocked down from 7 sins. The Kingsmen started this fight a player down already, so getting that initial knock is really beneficial. Another one onto the Judy. Those grenades are really being beneficial for the Kingsmen. Another knock. Lassa is low in health. Outside, twist going on the outside of the building. This is really good play from the Kingsmen.
Oh, great defense. I do want to say I love the push, though. If they drove right on by, they could lose players easily. So they went for, like, as you said, from they switched gears, they went aggressive, but now they're just down to one player. Can he hold it down? No, he cannot, and that's a clean wipe for the Kingsmen. A 3v4, but the defense comes out and it works out for them. But the circle is closing. They gotta move. So they pick up some points, but they get less time to plan their next rotation.
Red Moon, they go close to the Q building by the river and saw Tip Top getting an initial knock and I believe a kill onto Whisker on board. So that's going to put a little bit of pressure on the Red Moon. By the river, they are at least on the western edge of the circle. So where things start to break out, X team under a bit of pressure. QL putting the hurt onto them. Xiaomi gets a knock and a kill, but that's another team, New Generation, looking for a third party. Red X steps up to the plate and gets a kill for himself. One kill on board. Xiaomi, they are down to, I believe, one player, if I'm not mistaken, 3 knocked. So for the most part, X team and New Generation come out on top of this 3-way fight.
I'm looking at the mini map on the top right. I see, unless if my color vision has gone array, I see 5 different colors right now on the northern edge of the map. We got 5 teams here fighting it out.
Yep.
Oh man, I think this is, to me though, a PMCO thing. Teams get caught on the edge
really
so often because the rotations are hard to navigate. And I was talking about colors on the map. Now I'm counting maybe 7 colors on the northwestern edge of the map. Oh, this zone cannot be a crazier zone to start off the very first match of the day, Imperium.
All the colors of the rainbow. Let's see who can find a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. That is this game one. New Generation being able to keep themselves up as a 3-man team. MF on board, and we switch on over. FTY, a team that I'm kind of hyping up, going up against the side of Fast Romania. Initial couple of knocks has definitely slowed down FTY. Whoa! Okay, a lovely play. Simple gets knocked down. That's really good. That's why I kind of held back, because I was like, wait, how did that not get executed? But that's good.
Yeah, I saw the trajectory. He bounced it off the tree, off the backboard, so to say. So great knock from Dove, but oh, they gotta press this before this team gets a full reset. And I mean, I say press this because the circle already shifted, so they gotta either rotate or press the advantage they had. Try to fit. Oh my God, are you kidding me, Imperium? Are you?
Welcome to PMCO. Welcome to PMCO.
That is absolutely
I love
nuts.
the way you say that, as if it's my fault. Like, are you kidding me? You gave us that circle? Come on, man.
I mean, you mentioned Tip Top in the beginning, taking a nice position. But then again, I kind of kept talking about how good of a position that is. Now that position is literally the best position on the map, as all the other teams right now you see on your screen just having to take shots at each other while the blue zone is closing, and this is the most stressful situation you could ever be in on the tournament stage.
Man, it's so difficult to navigate. Vortex gets knocked down. Kale, Simple, are you taking the fight or are you not taking the fight? I feel like that's a little bit uncoordinated. Maybe they're trying to do the best of both worlds. As Simple is going to send it into the river. It's not going to be into the circle. Uncalled for. Miss the opportunity to get the shot off, but they are going to look across the river on the teams that's by the edge of the circle. La Familia, he's back in 98. He's the IDL for his side. He's in the river as Fast Romania. Black just sends it flying on through. Uncalled for. Abea looks to take the shots, but they will not connect. And he's going to take damage from another team across the way. He gets knocked for that. This is pretty wild, and desperate times are calling for desperate measures, Ute. All the teams are just sending it into the river.
Yeah, desperate times calls for desperate smokes. I need to see more smokes out of that. They just need to smoke their way into the water. I mean, that's the only option they have. But Quattro Fakers, we were talking about their rotation earlier. They're not quite yet into the circle, but they've got a great position to gatekeep all these teams. Pick up all of these kills. Oh, they are farming these points right now. Already at 3 kills, and I see more players not yet in the zone that they could take shots at, and they are right next to the circle. And it is all out mayhem right now, and these players, these teams are racking up the kill points.
Quattro fakers on quattro kills for the time being. 4 on board as you just say, I'll have one more. Please, sir, may I have some more? But now as the circle is shifting on up, we're getting into phase number 6. Douse Legion, a team that says has a lot of experience, at least with AWM Ditati. They're looking to utilize that experience to at least stay out of a little bit of trouble as quattro fakers take shots off on them. Sirex, that's a lovely knock.
That's a beautiful pro knock from distance. And we get the next circle, and Tip Top once again in the circle. I mean, they're in a great position, but my question is, have they managed to get the kill points? It's kind of difficult actually to get the kills from that area, because all these other teams are just cannibalizing each other right now on the edge. And we see teams out in the riverside still using the smokes to stay alive. Uncalled for, down to 2 members with only 1 kill left, or with only 1 kill point, but they do have the edge of circle. Can they pick up some more? They're looking to farm these players right now, swimming in the riverside.
Here, little fishy, come to the bay, fishy, uncalled for. They have a great spot on the edge of the circle. This is a low ground dip, of course. If they can get rid of quattro forces and the fishies that are swimming in the sea, I reckon they could low-key win this. Easier said than done. I know, still 11 teams, 18 players on board. Stupid pig from Tip Top. You said, are they racking up the kills? Where they're picking off knocks left, right, and center as they look to control this game on, and down goes Fast Romania.
I think Monk just hit a double nade into the water and picked up those kills right there. So really good grenade by him.
Beautiful.
Zone is slowly closing right now. Tip Top, I do believe, still have 4. Yeah, they still have 4 players alive. They're the only 4-man team. The next strongest team only has 2 players, and they have 7 kill points already. Tip Top looking in tip-top form right now to close out the very first game of the
Look at that.
Oh, great shots. Oh, down to 1 HP.
Fantastic.
That could have been another one right there.
Man, I thought he was down and out, but Bang stays alive for the time being. I can't help but feel it's a matter of when rather than if this guy goes down. Red Moon has been able to keep Chrono alive by the riverside. Packy 98, the IGL of La Familia Italian side, looking to represent and come out with a strong result. Top 7 isn't bad, but with twists of the Kingsman laying down prone in the grass, Bangs is not really too familiar of where he is, but he's going to have to start moving. 4 first aids, that's not really going to get him through to the next circle. Bangs, he might be given a chance to get into the next phase.
He goes prone here. He has the opportunity to pick up another kill point. Kingsman right now have 10 kills. I'm surprised he didn't pop up earlier to just secure another point.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, not a lot of first aids to get more placements by cooking in the blue. So he forwent that kill point. But let's see, he's taking some shots now, and yeah, it's too late. Goes out to the play zone, and Tip Top picking that one up.
Yeah, we're now down to our final 4 teams. Packy picked up the last kill onto the member of Red Moon. Uncalled for. Monk is knocked down. Very risky to go for the revive for Kraken, so he's better off staying safe. Packy is in a little bit of a better position because he's a little further up the coastal line, but still out of the side of both Tip Top for the time being. Quattro fakers. But with still a full squad up, Cole is going to send it up. Isn't too aware. Doesn't see Packy? Yes, he does. He gets the shots off. Boom. Goes a dynamite. That's going to be kill number 9 for Tip Top as they look to close this game out. We're down to 3 teams.
The awareness to check for that bush. The second I saw him make that hard left turn, I knew he saw him. That could have been really bad. They could have had a player knocked, but they keep 4 up, and they're controlling the zone perfectly. It's a 4v2v2 situation. It all comes down to these last 3 teams.
2-2 split is really valuable, and with Godlight getting the knock onto Monk, that puts a little bit more control into the hands of Tip Top. Down goals, uncalled for. We're left with our final two teams, and believe it or not, these are two Romanian teams. As Quattro Fakers are going up against Tip Top. Sorry, Tip Top are not Romanian. My apologies on board. Tip Top looking to close out this game 1. 4 kills for Quattro Fakers. It's 2v4. Do or die. Quattro Fakers, they're pinching to a corner. A rock, a couple of burnt out vehicles. Not much to go on, but they're going to do what they can. They're beside each other. They're beside ourselves. But at the end of the day, the Grow's on board. The cold kill. The Tip Top chicken dinner for game number 1 of the PMCO EU West.
Oh, the ending of that game, my competitive player side of me is screaming right now. I don't know if you viewers noticed, but Tip Top had the perfect aggression in a 4v2 situation. They stacked 2 in the middle to press straight into them, and notice immediately they had the 2 off-angle players. That could not have been formation-wise. That could not have been any more perfect by this Tip Top team.
Yeah.
So, Tip Top, they got the circles the whole entire game, right? So it's easy to say, they just got circle blessed. That's why they did so well. But that aggression at the end of the game, formation-wise, absolutely beautiful. Cannot have that formation push cannot have been any more perfect. I'm so excited to see what the other game. We have 3 more games, and I'm already a huge fan of Tip Top.
Yeah, like sending 2 players down by the coastline, they would have known that even if they couldn't see, common sense tells you with the way the circles had been shifted that there was going to be 1 or 2 players by the side of the river. They might have heard some shots because Paki had taken down the last player. Red Moon, uncalled for, had been making a bit of noise. But the proactivity to put 2 players down there to cover that side, to stop any potential sideswipe third party is just so invaluable. And yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's one thing to get the circles, but to actually control them and be proactive with them is another thing. And Tip Top were absolutely tip top with those plays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like we're gonna be saying that line quite a few more times just based on that first game. But that does it for Erangel. And so we're switching it completely right up 360 or 180. 360, you just go back to where you were, but 180. We're going on to Sanhok, and it's the hot drops. Are they going to happen this time around? We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, Sanhok, of course, is going to be a different beast. To be fair, I kind of do want to put a bit of an asterisk on that game 1 and say, hey, those circle shifts were not easy for the teams to deal with, Zute. Don't get me wrong.
Fair.
You've always got to be able to adapt, but when you have ping pong shifts with the river in play, that's like an extra added level of just, pain in the buttery, right? That is just, an extra level of chaos. So I do feel for quite a few of these teams, and I hope that they are kind of given a slightly easier circles to at least show us what they've got in these day 1 games.
Yeah, it's... I have to agree. That very first game, the circles, that's not a very standard... the circle shifts itself were standard, but just the area kept condensing on with that river play. Definitely not standard. Even, I would have to argue, even a lot of PMPL teams would have struggled with a zone like that. It's just not much room to move around when you got water. Right? Cars don't drive in water. Yeah. So rotations are tough.
Exactly. Let's have a look at the match rankings, though, from that game 1 and see what points were accumulated for these teams. Tip Top, 27, 12 kills. It's really important to point out, and I know it's only day 1, so there's a lot to go, but that 11-point cushion over second place alone, that's pretty big, Zute.
Yeah, really big. And the momentum going forwards into the rest of 3 matches, Tip Top has the momentum. Now, the third place team right now, Kingsman, they might not have gotten the best placement points, but I love them adapting to those hardships, right? They went into kill mode. They got 10 kills. They didn't have the zone like Tip Top did, and they only fell short of 2 kills from Tip Top. So we didn't see much of it on screen, but the Kingsmen, they absolutely played their hearts out, and Kingsmen also looking very strong right there.
And I know it wasn't the strongest of crashers from Seven Sins, but that defense was absolutely spot on. So I'm glad that you highlighted them. Uncalled for with 12 points, La Familia with 10, and even New Generation with 10. So the top 6 teams getting double digits is really positive for all of those 6 teams, because I would argue that you're looking for an average points per game for maybe like 7 to 8 to really secure the position for the finals. So to start with 10 compared to the next team down getting 5 is really good.
Yeah, and just not any 10 points. 10 points in a map or in a game like game 1 with the circle shifts the way it did. That's really good. But now we're looking at the teams that didn't fare as well with those circle shifts. We have 9th through 16th place. The point range goes from 4 to 0 between all 8 of these teams. I mean, this just really shows how much of a struggle it was. And most of these points are the kill points. Can't put enough emphasis on it. These kill points matter. When you can't have the circles go in your favor, the only things left are to get the kill points. So good to see these teams are picking up the kill points in the bottom 8.
Yeah, that's really fair, except for, of course, Seven Sins feels bad, man. Game 1, 0 points. Had to put it out there, but it was only one game. You got 3 more to go. Yeah. Let's take it to a break. Let's not waste any more of your time so the viewers don't have to watch our dodgy looking faces. But we will be back on your screens fairly soon for game 2 over in Sanhok. Welcome back. Day one of the PUBG Mobile PMCO full split EU West. Man, what a start we had. Crazy circle shifts, rivers in play, and a tip-top chicken dinner. Even Sparky the Unicorn behind me loved this first game, Zute.
Yeah, that first game was really enjoyable. The one thing I didn't expect to see is a rainbow on my screen. And when I say rainbow, I mean the 7 different colors on the northwestern edge of that screen. But that's also where the Kingsman was. So
Wild.
I think they had a little bite of that gold you were talking about. They had a 10 kill point finish on that northwestern chaos that we saw. So it's chaos. Make the best of it, right?
Yeah, and I think it's important, and I'd like to think it's part of why you're highlighting that in terms of the Kingsman, outside of Tip Top getting the chicken dinner, is he meant to kills the Kingsman got, is because when we move on over to Sanhok and we start talking about what really kind of allows a team to succeed in that map, is a team's ability to control their position and kind of be aggressive and get those kills, not necessarily like super early into the game, but definitely like technically as early as possible, right?
Yeah, so I touched on it at the beginning of the show, right? I gave my thoughts on Sanhok. So pretty much for Sanhok, it's depending on where you drop and where the first circle is, there's very limited options for rotations. So there's like maybe 2 to 3 at most. So you just deadlock yourself into that rotation, and along that rotation, you can expect where teams will be, like where teams will be in front of you, because it's such a small map. So it's like you just take that fight. You optimize on it. You don't try and like swing around too much because it's so small, it's so congested. You're going to just swing into a different team, and then you're going to get caught in the middle. Yeah. So in my opinion, straight is a way to go, and just take that fight, be prepared for it. So yeah, the kill points will matter even more, because if you could get the kill points, that also means you clear up a position into the further stages of the game. There is little rotations to be had here.
Exactly, and that's why I kind of say give or take as early as possible in the game, controlling your position, getting kills, because it really eliminates the pressure of having to pull that off in phase 4, phase 5, when you have 2 or other teams looking in your direction, right? And that's where, you know, avoid a third party as much as possible in Sanhok.
Yeah, speed is another thing. If you're taking a fight, do it quick, do it correctly, or you get third party. We see it so much
for sure,
and we're probably gonna see it here in this match coming up too.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, this game too, and the whole of the PMCO EUS is brought to you by the wonderful folks over at Xiaomi. You can enjoy a super fast and lag-free PUBG mobile experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G. Sanhok, The circles, they can definitely be a little bit difficult, but I think the algorithm, for the most part, has been predominantly on towards those mainland circles. So I'm curious to see how these teams are going to also position themselves around the quarry region.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to counter that with that crazy first game we had. I mean, we'll see it right now. We're coming into the game. The plane path is there. But I think the first circle, Imperium, is going to go on to that northwestern island. It's going to end right on the mountaintop.
Okay.
And we'll get that crazy ending once again.
Yeah, well, that's definitely going to be... Wait, I thought it was Sanhok for game 2.
I think global warming...
I am right in saying that the schedule did say Sanhok for game 2, just to put it out there, right? I am right in saying that on schedule. Now I feel a little bit stupid. I think we both committed to Sanhok, but it's not Sanhok.
Yeah,
it's Miramar. Oh, rip.
It's okay. Global warming. It's a thing, I think. All right. But this is Sanhok. Just after global warming has hit and no rain has been, happening for a while. But I mean, hey, Miramar, I like this map too. Definitely was not prepared for this one, but hopefully these teams, when they were waiting in the lobby, they saw it was Miramar. So they got everything sorted out. And speaking of which, sorted out, the plane path, I didn't even touch on it because I was in quite a shock. But the plane path is a really good one.
Man.
Once again, the center of the map is not taken. That really leads me to think that tomorrow there's some big dog in Group C or D that always drops center on every map, and none of these other teams even want to touch or mess with it. But that first circle,
definitely
hard southern circle for Miramar. This is going to be our first match of Miramar for the day, and let's see how these teams manage to rotate around in this one.
Once again, a little bit similar to game 1. You have a couple of teams in kind of the Los Leones city. Similar to Yasnaya, you're able to hold 2 teams. New generation on the eastern side, uncalled for, and kind of that western kind of edge of Los Leones side as well. FTY, they have a great spot initially in Chumacera. They've good potential. I would recommend that they look to, after they're finished looting, just send themselves over a little bit to the east to that church high ground position, because that gives such a good overwatch to that kind of northern side of the circle, to the eastern side of the circle, and even a little bit to the south.
Yeah. So game 1, we saw Tip Top do really well in terms of getting the zone and holding it down, right? This time around, Tip Top, they're heading towards El Azahar to loot. That is in the hard northeast. So very unlikely they'll get that, first fast rotation that we saw on Erangel that put them in the map position to basically close out the game. So this time we'll see what else Tip Top's got. We saw a spark of that towards the end. Their aggression, in my opinion, was on point. Their teamwork was on point. Now it's really going to be put to the test with this circle shift. I mean, this first one is towards the south. Who knows where else it might go? And Tip Top, they have their work cut out for them this time around.
Fast Romanian Valdemar, they'll have a really good rotation into this phase 1, using that main road to come into maybe a central mountainside region in between Los Leones and Chumacera. If they're aware of that, it'll be fantastic. We know that it's clear for them, but it's important that they start to get the timing of that rotation on board. We know that with Miramar, the timing of the rotation is not like it's the most important, but you got to be aware of how far away you are into the circle. Really heavily impacts the timing of your rotation, because how tricky it is to rotate through the map.
Yeah, Miramar especially, it's like it gets exponentially harder to rotate on Miramar. It's not like Erangel, right? Where you could pretty much drive almost anywhere on the map pretty easily, except for maybe Mount Everest. But on Miramar, you have like multiple mini Mount Everest. So it just really cuts down on how easily you can navigate. So the first rotation, if you're a little bit slow, puts you even slower on the second one, and then on the third one, and it really stacks up.
Like a snowball effect.
yeah, like a snowball effect. I never thought we'd mention snowball on the map Miramar, but you've done an Imperium. That is the perfect
Thank you.
analogy to mention snowball on Miramar. But yeah, you're correct.
Well, I think I don't think you can get away with saying sandball. I just don't think that works. Maybe what's that kind of sand where if you try to move quick, you actually go
Quicksand?
further into the sand. Quicksand. There you go.
Quicksand? Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. I don't know
Yeah.
if that works as well for the analogy, but yeah.
Oh no, it does. We could just say it's like quicksand. No wait.
There you go.
The slower you move, or the faster you move.
See? That's why it doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
you're
why I
right,
said
it doesn't
snowball.
work.
It was just the best analogy to pull off, but it's okay. It's okay. Brilliant, man.
Analogies
so
are not
phase
my
one.
forte.
It's cool. It's cool, man. What you lack in analogies, you make up in PUBG Mobile knowledge, skill, and just OPness, to be fair. In Tropic, they didn't have the best of starts to the game. They lost a player early on. They dropped in Porto pre. So a little bit similar to Fast Romania. Great potential for the rotation in this phase one. But unlike Fast Romania, they started moving out a little bit earlier, and that could hurt Fast Romania because they've allowed the likes of X Team, who dropped kind of much further away, to get ahead of them in this phase one rotation.
Yeah, you got to move quick, especially on Miramar. The only thing that really helps out teams that move slower, though, is the circle shifts. One hard shift on this map can change things drastically, even if you were in the center,
Fair.
right? Because you could be in the center, and that circle might not shift too far away, but there might be a giant mountain just right in front of you. And the only way to circumnavigate it is to loop all the way around to the east or all the way around to the west. And then the teams that were on the edge or the east or west, they have a better rotation than you. So Miramar is the trickiest of all maps when it comes to rotations. This is the map that tests the teams the most, their adaptability in terms of rotations, in terms of how to fight, where to fight, all the engagements.
Yeah.
Definitely the most challenging map.
I was talking to Wasted from La Familia. Now, he didn't have much to say. His words were pretty clean and clear, and I kind of appreciate that. But I asked him, like, you know, what was his expectations? How are the team feeling? And he just simply responded with, "We feel good, ready for a PMCO, and hope to do well." That was all he said, but I kind of respect that because it was like, yep, this is where we are. We are feeling good. We believe we can do well. Let's go for it. So a lack of words, but hopefully that will translate into a strong performance in this PMCO. Their IGL, Paki98, did show his IGL experience and did get his team a good finishing position in game one, but being left with one player in that game was definitely not the best from a team standpoint.
Yeah, definitely not. And speaking about not the best uncalled for, I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong, this was a team that we saw push the Kingsmen and it didn't work out so well for them, right?
Yeah.
I believe.
No. That was Seven Sins. No, that was Seven Sins.
Seven
Uncalled for
Sins.
did pretty well. They
Apologies.
finished like third or fourth in this game one.
Oh, they were the team at the Riverside. Okay, apologies there, Imperium.
Yeah.
But speaking about uncalled for,
Cool, man.
I want to touch on them real quick. In this position, they're on one of the Mount Everest of Miramar, the one of many. And they're right now holding against a team. I like their defense, but I see all four of them focus in one direction. I'm hoping that another team doesn't sneak up on them from behind. They might want to space out just a little bit. You see them down towards the southwest as we come into the second circle shift. No other teams around them, so they should be fine. But Tip Top and Quattro on the northeast, they're driving on by really close to each other. Something might happen there. Just maybe. And there's that next circle shift. It goes up north. We're centering up towards the center of Miramar now.
Yeah, that's definitely a little bit trickier because there's a lot more flat area. Yeah, okay, the flatness is complemented by a good few more compounds. That's especially by the roadside to the north of Chumisera. But I definitely think there's a massive risk of having a compound on phase 2. It can pay off. It worked for Tip Top in game 1, for God's sake. We'll have to wait and see. Quattro Fakers, they're going to be moving into the circle from the western edge of this map, avoiding Seven Sins, looking to play for the late game, which I can definitely commend them for, because there's no point in being slowed down by an early engagement where you might pick up 1 kill if you can get a stronger position in phase 3 and pick up 4 to 5 kills.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to mention a little bit more of that circle shift. So we did go up to the north, and the compounds there, they are a hit or miss, right? Like if the compounds don't have that much area of control around them. All these buildings are kind of like in their own little pocket. And if you travel 100, 200 meters to the other side, there's another building that controls their own little pocket. But the one benefit, though, is that this area of the map is a very common circle ending. Teams should be super familiar with all the buildings, where they are, and they should be able to optimize which one is the best for this circle, especially since they're pretty much all open still during this rotation.
Yeah. Conquer Romania, getting close to the winners of game 1. Tip Top, they move a little bit further away after getting a couple of shots in their direction, while New Generation, a little bit of pain onto the members of Entropic, and Knock most likely will not convert into a kill because of where both of these teams are positioned. But this is New Generation committing to the edge of Los Leones. Phase 2, what do you make of that, Zute?
Honestly, I'm not too sure. Teams rarely stay in the city, and when the circle shifts like the way it did and we're on circle 2, for them to be in that city already and just holding it down, I don't see that too often. I mean, you got me on this one. I don't know what to really make of that. I mean, it just depends on how good their next rotation is. That's pretty much it.
Now, X Team, they were close to uncalled for. They tried to go for a little bit of a slightly unorthodox backpedal rotation, but between the timing of that rotation and the fact that there was already a few teams by the coastline, they got absolutely bulleted down, and they're left with just one zombie. I get why they tried to pull it off, but let's be fair, they hung around uncalled for about 30 to 40 seconds. You know, if they knew that there was a team there, if you're going to stay there, stay there. But if you're going to move, you got to move within, like, I feel 10 seconds, 15 seconds at the most.
Yeah, now they're just down to 1 player, and that next shift comes out. It's a hard shift to the east. This is what I'm talking about. It doesn't really matter if you're a center in the previous circle. These hard shifts on Miramar aren't like hard shifts on any other map, and that gives Tip Top a very favorable circle shift. So like I said, they were on the very edge coming into this game, but it looks like these circles, they kind of have a thing for Tip Top. We'll see how the rest of the game plays out, man. As all these other teams, oh man, this shift is not pretty for these other teams, man. They're going to be crashing in to one another, scrambling to find something.
Just to put out there, Picado is still in the circle. We have seen situations in the past where Picado's still been in phase 3, kind of phase 4. Teams might make a bit of a desperate push into that city, so I'm curious to see if anybody goes for. FTY made the decision that I thought they should and would, and held onto that church compound. It's outside the circle now, but they did pick up a kill, and they're close to the southern edge. While Entropic, they move away. They've gotten back up as a full squad, and it definitely looks like they are kind of doing what they can to respect the teams around them and play a bit more for this late game in game number 2.
Yeah, late game number advantage is huge, but on Miramar, what's even bigger is positional advantage. Now, Entropic, their position is a decent one. They got the mountains to their north that they control with their lines of sight. So if the circle does shift north, which would be more central, they have a means out. But a team that doesn't look like they have a means out is this four unknown team right here. They are stuck behind a hay bale, and they got the high ground shooting right at them. It's not looking good for them.
Oh man, uncalled for. They hung around that kind of Everest area for a little bit too long, allow teams to get too close to them, and then when they do finally try and move away, they get punished for. La Familia, Evil Boy, he's a player that you will want to look out for in this PMCO. I know he has a 4 to 6x on the AKM, not the best long-range weapon to pull out those shots from, but still, this guy, give him a chance, and I definitely think he can pull something off. But that's Sands of Entropic. Bit of a third-party M24 headshot on the Paki 98. Come on, La Familia. Now, refocus on the fact that you have another team looking in your direction. So, let him bleed out. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, I mean, they want to secure the kill points. I mean, those knocks are kind of wide in the open, so I get why he's staring it down. But FTY, this is another team you talked about. They already have 4 kill points, and it looks like they're going to pick up some more. They're going extremely aggressive. I love the grenades, cooking the nades step by step, clearing out the angles little by little. But and the Molly Pop comes through, and he runs right back into me and a grenade. Oh. He's still alive.
Now, Seven Sins, in the last game, they crashed onto the Kingsmen and they fell down hard, but this is the other way around. They're looking to defend their compound, but FTY, they need to make a move. They need to make a move quick. The next circle has popped up. It's away from both these teams, shifting over to the west. Grenades going flying out. All 3 of them are together. Healths are down, but the focus is real. I know Miramar is FTY's probably strongest map based on how I saw them play the SL Mobile Open Finals in this map. But this is the fight that they need to close out. And where is their 4th player? He's alive, but he's nowhere to be seen. That's a bit of a feels bad man.
He might be doing some scout work, like already finding another position in the circle. But I love the utility use out of these teams. Like 2 years ago, PMCO was a bunch of just pushing together, stacked close next to each other, and you just hope your hip fire is better than the opponent's, right? But this time around, PMCO, especially out of this EU region, we saw so many utility coming out. So I love seeing that. These teams are definitely getting better by the seasons as we keep watching. Oh, there's that 4th player, Sodox. Apparently,
and he went to go for a little bit of a not getting the memo. Went to go for a bit of a flank position. Didn't pay off. They're going to disengage away. MF Esports pushes in onto Fast Romania. Gets a knock on to one of the players. That kill is going to be confirmed. And FTY, they walk out of one fight and into another. This time it's on the edge of circle. That's something to be of a benefit, but I don't know if they are aware of the fact that Fast Romania, there is still one player on that compound down south outside the circle, and that could be a bit of a third party hurt for FTY.
Yeah, FTY playing on the outside still. So that third party, the first thing that player is going to see is probably FTY. The rest of MF is chilling inside the compounds. And we saw them use so much utility earlier, FTY, right? They're probably very low on utility now. And utility would be huge in this 3v4 situation, especially when you got to break into these buildings. MF with the man advantage too.
I can't help but feel that maybe FTY are thinking, okay, we're just happy to be in the circle at this stage of the game. We'll coexist with MF and see where this next phase goes. And on one hand, I can low-key respect that. But on the other, I'm kind of like, well, then that leaves you in a situation of when, not if, you'll get taken out as a squad because there could be another team on that next circle close by. In this case, Seven Sins, they are still close by.
Yeah, FTY, they're just short on util. I saw when they pulled up, they still chunked some Molotovs, chunked a few grenades. That was probably the last of it. So now it's kind of on MF to make a play. It goes both ways, right? It's mutual destruction if both of these teams don't do anything. And now you see it. MF, they come out with a plan. They're smoking their angles. They're nading the side they want to push. I like that. They're pushing as a 4-man. It's a 4v3 situation.
Lovely.
And MF is about to get the first opening right here.
Wow, it's on the other harder side of the circle, but Simple, he's saving a grenade. Doblovsky gets taken down. Another player from MF is knocked down. Nader is knocked down. Fierce is left on his own. It was a good push engagement, but at the end of the day, FTY, they're holding their ground. They're getting the knock. They're getting the kills. A sliver of health on board. It's into a 1v1, but Fierce, he has nothing on his side. He's going to pull off a first aid. Simple's going to do the same thing. The reset is on board. The next circle is shifted far away from both these sides. One's outside the building. One's inside the building. No way is Fierce going for the revive. Simple, he's not aware. He's not aware, but he's going to go for the push. The third-party perspective, it's going to allow him to pull on in. But Simple, with a matter of seconds and health remaining, Phase 5 Blue Zone closing in. He gets a kill. He's going to get the heal off. It's not worth going for the revive, but it's all elusive kills and placements for his side.
Oh, that was the 1v1 of all 1v1s, back and forth. Both players mimicking the same thing, going for that revive, but at the last second, we saw Simple. He turned on the aggression. He realized, hey, I have the advantage if I push this quick, and it worked out for them. And it was still a very close fight, but the circle has shifted. We're going into the next phase of the circle, and all those teams that we just saw fighting, they gotta they gotta move. They gotta go in for another fight. They gotta go in for another rotation. This is Battle Royale, ladies and gentlemen. Non-stop action. It is absolutely beautiful.
Oh man. Southern edge of the circle, 7 Sins, they avoided the action. They're going to try and make it in, but will the family and Crutcher Fakers shooting in their direction, can't see them surviving for much longer. 5 kills so far for La Familia. They're having a very good game 2 in Miramar, but still gotta recognize the fact that the Kingsmen, they have the circle, they have the control inside this phase 5.
Kingsmen kind of just chilling in the center of the strongest compound left on the map, but the teams on the edge, it just depends on where the next circle goes. But can La Familia clear out this other team that's right next to them? We got Quattro and La Familia. It's a 4v4 situation. Both teams kind of set up in the circle, so it might be a stalemate unless an opening comes out through some use of grenade or some utility.
Of course, the northern side is a little bit freer, so that is kind of benefiting the side of Deus Legion, who are exiting away from the hotels of Picado. They put themselves in that position. La Familia and Quattro Fakers now they're gonna have to start fighting with each other, and that's where it starts on by. Nice play by Evil Boy. He's gonna get a knock in their direction. Blade is gonna be down to a little bit of health. He's gonna go for those peaks on board. Really well played from him. Good pre-fire shot by Evil Boy. He goes full frontal. Maybe bites off more than he could chew, but wasted. The man with many words has many bullets. They come on target, and that is 11 kills for La Familia.
Beautifully done. They don't lose a single member. They only get 1 or 2 knocked. They get that fast reset. They only have 10 seconds, but that's more than enough time to make this next rotation.
Yes,
We're
sir.
down to 4 teams now, but the shots from the Kingsmen stopping and slowing down the rotation. Chi Lin also coming into the mix. I may have spoken too soon. La Familia, they win that fight, but I don't think they're going to win this war.
Man, Shilin, it is a Chinese word that is, apparently it's to do with, it's a mythical Chinese creature. It's a mix of a dragon and a unicorn. So let's see if they have the unicorn power, the dragon power to steal this victory away from the Kingsmen. I did say that northern side was less occupied, so they have been able to control the last couple of minutes on the high ground.
Yeah, and they're doing a 2-2 split to maximize their control. They're making sure that team on that low ground does not push up to them and force them into the Kingsmen. Now the Kingsmen throwing some really nice grenades. That first one getting 2 players down to 50 HP. Now, Shilin, they have the whole side of the map for themselves, and this push might be coming through very soon.
Daus Legion, you have to send at least one player into that long building. I get what you're trying to do, but that position only allows a certain level of protection. You talked about the utility, put two of those players down to about 50% health, and that did slow them down. Of course, with Familia, they go out in fourth, but it's been a fantastic performance from them in this game too, picking up 19 elusive points. 2 good games in a row, I might add. But now we're down to our final 3. The Kingsmen got 10 kills in game 1. Let's see if they can close out this chicken dinner, but they got 1 to the north, 1 to the south. Let's see where this phase 7 is going to go, Zute.
Yeah, unlike the first match, this time the last 3 teams, all 3 teams have 4 members alive.
Sir.
So there's a lot of gunpowder and team
Beautiful.
synergy to be had to see which team comes out on top of this one. Chilin with the most circle control, but if it shifts down south into the compounds, we're just going to see all these teams crash in, and the circle shifts out into the open where no team really has too much of an advantage. Chilin has some control over that open zone, so Chilin does have a small advantage into setting up how they want to, but it's not much to work with. Definitely not much to work with at all in that circle.
I think it's great that they've only sent 1 player into the edge of the circle, keeping 3 back on board, and knock from Daus Legion onto one of the Kingsmen players is an opening for them to push through. It's important that they focus on that one fight at a time. Tati goes into FPP mode, into the building, out of the building, through the windows. Got to be aware of that long building, but as they stay on the outside, Hisoka gets knocked down. Tati gets knocked down. The third party on board from Shilin gets the power of the dragon to come in and push on through. But the Kingsmen, they're still alive. They are still technically the kings of the castle, but they're going to have to evacuate that castle soon enough because that castle is outside of the circle. And Gui Gui, they are the sharks surrounding the castle, ready to pounce on their opponents. Quite a little bit low in health, be staying by the warehouse. Crank gets a confirmed kill. Soft is also gonna go down. This is all Chilin's skyline. He's trying to play in towards the smoke, trying to get information while still staying protected, but he gets knocked down. Chilin are taking this game into the palm of their hands, keeping Crank on the back line. That level of support. This is a 4-man nightmare, Zute.
Yeah, I said all 3 teams have 4 members up, and Chilin with their positional advantage, it looks like they have 8 players just choking out 2 teams at the same time.
Yeah.
And now we're down to it's a 3v2 situation. That's 1 team out, just a snap of a finger like that. 3v2, but one of the players of Chilin is knocked, so right now it's a 2v2. The Kingsmen still inside the building. Chilin with the Overwatch advantage, and the Kingsmen are doing the first aid strategy. I don't think they realized it's just one other team left, and they have an opening with that knock.
Whoa, Jerry. Oh
Is
my
he
God,
prone?
Jerry, what the hell? He's close by. You've got to see him. How did you not see him? Jerry gets guns knocked down. Finally, it works in his favor. It has been a trade on board. The blue zone is engulfing the last player of the Kingsmen, but I don't know. He does go for the heel shot. It doesn't work. But Chilin, they grab the chicken dinner for game 2 of Miramar.
Oh, Chilin with that. I love on that circle shift. I was saying there's not much to work with, but they just set up on the angles. They saw the opportunity they had, and they just closed in on both teams. And another thing that I've never seen before, a player snaking through the smoke in Miramar in the blue zone, just crawling up right next to that Chilin player. That was funny to see. But Chilin,
hi guys. Ignore me. But man, I gotta say, to me, that game 2 ending was a lot more, no disrespect to Tip Top, but a lot more entertaining than game 1, because as you correctly said, we did have 3 teams with full squads up. I'm a little bit surprised that Daus Legion didn't fully commit into that building, because even though they didn't technically know exactly where the players were, at least being inside the building was a much higher chance of not being third-partied, because they didn't commit to it. 2 of the players got knocked, and it was just so much harder for them to sustain that team fight afterwards.
I 100% agree with you on that one. But I also have to give credit to Chilin to how quickly they capitalized on that circle shift. Like, that off-angle flank came in so fast. I didn't have a chance to touch on it. So credit goes to Chile too with that third party timing. And I think for Douse, like if they had another 4 seconds or so, they probably would have hopped in and finished that fight out. But every second counts. And I got to say, these PMCO teams, they're looking like more than just PMCO teams. I'm seeing some like PMPL level like decision making here, like the speed, the effectiveness of like these teams. It is great to see.
It's funny you should mention that as we do move into the match rankings for this game too. One thing that I should have recognized is that Koi from Chilin, he's played for Panda in PMPL, so he does have that PMPL experience, as well as Ditati played for Scrim Farm in PMPL. So it's perfect timing that you mentioned that, because out of the top 3, 2 of the teams do have that massive PMPL experienced players on their side, which somewhat helped them navigate into the late stages of the game.
Speaking about late stages of the game, that's where all these placement points come through. Your top 5, 15 points, 12 points, 10 points in terms of placement points. So Miramar, it's a tricky zone. It's a tricky map to do your rotations, but if it works out for you, you get rewarded for those placement points. Now, Chilin with 25 points, 15 placement points, and 10 kills. But La Familia, they went down just a little bit early of that last zone, but they picked up the kill points, coming in at second with 19 kill points. And Kingsman, once again, doing great this time with placement points, not kill points. So they have both. They have the rotations and they have the fight in them. That's great to see.
And it's even more important because there's no Tip Top in that top 8, right? So 2 of the top 3 in this game too had pretty good results in game 1. So that's something that I'm really going to be looking out for in this PMCO, that consistency of that sustainability of top 5s, top 4s with a, 4 to 5 to 10 kills, so to speak. It was nice to see FTY pick up 12 points for themselves. But despite Douse Legion getting 10 points, with that 1 kill, it doesn't look as good compared to the top 4 above them.
Yeah, not as good, but they were close. If they didn't get third party in that timing that they did, and they finished that 4v3 fight off, that's 4 secured kill points, and they get second place instead of third. So it's just these micro decisions, these seconds mean so much difference when it comes to how many points you end up in at the end of the game. So it's just every second matters, and the experience, that's where it really shines through.
Yeah, for sure. Look, this is only the second game. I'm just pointing out because I'm curious as we move on to the second page, what kind of trends we're going to see throughout the PMCO group stages and who's going to look to kind of take advantage of that. It wasn't a super bad amount of points for Tip Top. It was still 4. So it does at least, it does at least add a little bit to their overall tally. But MF Esports getting 0 placement points, 3 kills with their 3 points from game 1. It's not really the best start from MF.
Yeah, and a stark contrast to game 1. On the bottom 8 of this map, we don't see many teams with points or kill points for that matter. And it just goes to show the Miramar is the most unforgiving map. It requires the most amount of skill to make the most of what you can. And Tip Top, we saw them do so well game 1. And this game, 4 points is not bad. They managed to put something up, but it just goes to show even the most experienced teams, like you could really struggle on Miramar depending on the circle shifts.
Yeah. And Tropic, 2 games, they've had 2 bad performances, and a team in the opposite direction to Kingsman. I was talking to the Jerry, and this is their first PMCO, and they regard Tropic as one of their biggest rivals because they come from the Czechoslovakia scene as well. And they said that it's kind of been a bit of a dream of theirs to battle against Entropic and in the PMCO. And they're not only battling them, but they're absolutely annihilating Entropic so far. Will it continue? Man, it remains to be seen. But you know what, Zute? Let's go for a break. We'll look to break things down a little bit further when we get back into it. As well, of course, we will finally have that Sanhok game.
Xiaomi.
And we're back. 2 games down, 2 games to go in day 1 of the PMCO EU West fall split. Sute, hell of a 2 games we've had. 2 more to go. Lots more to happen.
Yeah, lots more, way more. I mean, today's only the first day, and I've already seen so much crazy action that I wasn't expecting just coming into the EU scene, right? Like I think the fighting is what impressed me the most. The usage of utility, the usage of angles, the speed. I'm quite impressed. But we're going into the next map of Sanhok. Now, I don't feel like I'm going to see anything too different. Sanhok, it's pretty much just set in. Teams are going to fight here. Circles are going to make it difficult for some teams. you're not going to see crazy rotations. You're going to see third parties. Like, we've seen it over and over again, but it's never boring to see the Sanhok chaos, right, Imperium?
No, it's never boring when you see Sanhok chaos, but one element of Sanhok that has definitely come into the mix a lot more. We even talked about it in the PMCO NA spring split, but we didn't see it that often. But I'm starting to see it more and more and more. Is a heal strat in Sanhok. It can make an end of a game a little bit anticlimactic, but it doesn't really matter from a team's perspective. It does get them 4 to 5 extra placement positions.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But every time someone mentions heal strat in Sanhok, the game that comes to my mind is PMGC, where one team, I see that smile on your face, Imperium. A team is heal stratting deep into the blue, and then they manage to kill the last alive player from like 200, 100 meters into the blue. That was the exact opposite of anticlimactic. I don't think we're going to see that again anytime soon. But hey, if heal strats always happen in Sanhok, there's a chance we might see it.
Yeah, for sure. Let's have a look at the overall standings coming into this Sanhok game halfway through the day so we can have a bit of a picture on where these teams are looking. Right now, tip top, 31 points in that first place with the chicken dinner. But remember what I said in terms of that 4 points from that game too. It kind of negated the strength of the game one, and Kingsman's consistency has put them in second place.
Yeah, I'm looking at the top 4 right now. We've only had 2 games, and with 4 games done, they're all close to each other.
Wow. That's good. It's good to see it closer to top already. So let's have a look at kind of second page to see who's not looking so hot. Even though uncalled for are 9th, they do still have double digits. It's 6 more than Red Moon and 10. So I really don't think they're in as bad of a position as it looks for the time being. But Conquer Romania, X-Team, and Tropic, 2, 3, 5 points respectively. They really need to kickstart their PMCO in Sanhok.
Yeah, and right now with Sanhok being the next map, it's really difficult for these teams to restabilize their mental when they're down so low in the leaderboards.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, the PMCO US is brought to you by the wonderful folks over at Xiaomi. You can enjoy yourself some fantastic, super fast and lag-free PUBG mobile experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G. You can avoid the craziness of Sanhok and have that smooth gameplay and maybe heal strat just to make it a little bit easier for yourself. But we're about to get into Game 3. We are finally going to see a Sanhok game. I know we teased it for the last game. A little bit of a mix-up, but we are indeed getting it. And man, you know what? The playing path isn't really going to be the most important thing, but I think it will allow us to see where teams are going to drop if they're going to look to utilize that eastern side. Let's get this show on the road, Zute.
Oh, I'm 100% ready for a Sanhok. I was ready for Sanhok a whole entire game ago, but now that's finally on screen. The excitement is there, and I talked about it. The hot drops. I'm willing to bet you $20, Imperium. No one drops boot camp just because the past 2 maps. No one's taking Central. So let's see. Is boot camp up? Oh. Man, who is in Group C and D that? No, wait.
No, I think La Familia are going there. La Familia are going there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Wait.
All right. Yes, they are. They are going there. Yes. Okay. But no other teams. So no hot drops. No hot drops. Man,
and you said you wanted a northwest circle on Sanhok. Hate to say it, but you're going to be sorely disappointed. Zute, we see a predominantly centralized phase 1 with the Southwest Island in play.
Yeah, it's a more standard circle for sure. These teams should not really be too unfamiliar with how to rotate around and here, but I do see two teams really close
Whoa.
next to, yeah. They're doing a split drop, it seems, but it looks like they both had the same split drop in mind. And here we go. Oh no, a 2v1 situation right now for this Entropic player. You say they lose players early on, it's a problem of theirs, and it looks like it might just happen this game. M4 in hand, 1v2 situation. Level 2 helmet, no vest, not looking good for him. He's trying to do all he can, and yep, push goes through. And that is the first player down for Sanhok on to the side of Entropic.
Like, I'm kind of angry a little bit. Hate to say it, Zute, because I think if there's one of the silliest things you can do in something like this where you're not super duper familiar where all the teams drop in Sanhok is split dropping. There's just too much of a risk. And I expect Entropic, a team with some of the biggest experience in this lobby, I expect them to know better. And that's why I'm a little bit annoyed at that. And despite it being a trend that they lose players early on, in that kind of situation, man, it's definitely annoying to me. It's definitely a little bit annoying.
Yeah. I will say, in terms of split drop, the split that they did is their split goes into another team's split. So I've played a lot of Sanhok games. I've casted a bunch of Sanhok games. Usually that split, if the rest of Entropic are more towards the quarry, right? Your split should be split around the quarry side. The player that went down for Entropic, those compounds at the crossroads there, that's part of another team's typical split that stretches further to the west side. So they kind of, like, nothing against split drops, but they split dropped into two different traditional splits. So it was no big surprise that he got isolated.
You're kind of trying to say that within Sanhok there's an unwritten rule of split drop patches, you could say.
Mm-hmm. In a sense, right? The splits just make more sense. Like if I were to pull up the Sanhok map and draw out splits, I draw out a split here, circle it up, and I'll draw out another split here, circle it up. And Entropic's circle is the quarry split. You don't stretch over all the way to that other side where that other player is, because the second circle for another team split will be over there. So, I mean, it's just, back to the drawing board. I mean, Entropic, they're down one player. It is Sanhok, where manpower matters the most, but maybe they'll get circle blessed for this one. We can't count them out just yet. As a new generation, they're also down a player. I believe this was the team that picked up the... Yeah. So multiple teams around here fighting early.
Okay. Down to 60 players. Still full 16 teams on board. Uncalled for, do have them circled. It wasn't them that picked up the kill onto New Generation, but I'm pretty certain they know exactly where they are. Time will tell if they go for a bit of a stronger push. They've opened things up. Nice play by Kraken on the blind. He's definitely not going to see much being down on his knees. But now it's up to the last two players in New Generation to see what they can do. Bangs and Keme, they are in a building each. It's not bad because any kind of utility won't take them both out. Let's see what kind of angles they can hold on to.
I love this aggression. So many teams will be scared to push downhill into the compound. Let's just see if they could play it out correctly, but they confirmed their kill. It's a 3v2 situation. Kraken should be easily revivable, and I think it's just the kill feed. They knew New Generation was just down to 3 players, and when they got that knock, it was a 4v2 situation, and they're keeping one player up on the hill for cover for Overwatch.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Timing is a thing, though. If they take too long, they could get third-partied here. So hurry it up just a little bit. Oh, that grenade, though.
No.
Oh.
Beautiful nade. He gets a confirmation and another knock. Yeah.
The Overwatch up top. Monk trying to do what he can, and the idea was there. I like the aggression, but the execution just fell short just a little bit. And now this team is just down to one player. In my opinion, I would rather see teams do this under the pressure, under the stakes of PMCO, because this is where you really get the practice. If you do this in scrims, it's also great and all, but you'll never get that full experience of playing under pressure, playing against other teams that are willing to, you know, really die fighting for a position in the finals. So uncalled for, didn't work out, but I get behind it. I support them in that decision.
Yeah, same here. Faster Romania, Aladdin gets knocked down. Seven Sins are gonna take advantage of that. Seven Sins did initially spit drop close by to Xilin, but they've avoided each other. Mutual respect possibly on board, but now Seven Sins, as they moved a little bit up north, have of course come into contact with Faster Romania. One thing that I'd like to mention on that engagement with Uncalled For that I think should have happened, as they were pushing down the hill, one of them should have thrown utility close or into the buildings to push back the two members, right? Of the two opponents,
like
the two opponents,
or something.
Or even smoke, some form of utility, either Molotov, nade, or smoke, because that would have taken a little bit of confidence away from the peeking through the window to get the first knock onto that Uncalled For player. But either way, another player from Fast Romania goes down. This time, it's Xilin that picks up a kill.
Yeah, Xilin already with one kill. Now make that 2 kills. Xilin off to a 2-kill start right now. Really good start for them right there. And this area of the map, that's on the far southeastern edge of the zone. This isn't even a fight happening towards the center. Xilin looks like they're just gonna try and third-party teams for the points and rotate in later, which is quite a viable strategy given how crazy Sanhok gets towards the late game.
And I like this for Seven Sins because I think they're aware that Xilin are still in the vicinity if they've kept an eye on the kill feed as well. So going a little bit more to the eastern coastline to somewhat avoid Seven Sins will give them a little bit more security, at least coming into phase 2. I don't think it's putting them into a corner, but it's them definitely being aware that they could still get third party. And I'm curious, Yute, if you might see shades of that kind of Chinese playstyle from Xilin, seeing as you've done a lot of viewer partying for the Chinese league, if you see kind of similarities in their playstyle throughout this PMCO.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's 2 teams here with full Chinese players, right? Xilin and Tip Top. And I have to say, I do see shades of the Chinese playstyle, primarily the speed at which they take different angles on engagements. We saw Xilin in the last game on Miramar, right? That off-angle flank so fast, happened so quickly, and then you saw the setup. They just completely choked the team out. All 4 players pretty much set up spread out from each other, but they have 2 players close where the enemy contact was. And then in game 1, for Tip Top, when they pressed out for the game-winning kills 4v2, they also did the same exact thing. 2 players close in the middle to press the player's head on, and then 2 players on opposite angles. The exact same thing coming out from 2 different teams, but both teams a full roster of Chinese players. So I think these players probably watch a lot of Chinese teams themselves and are taking note of what they do.
Now, as phase 2 shifted to the west, I find it interesting that La Familia stayed in boot camp. I don't like it because I think it kind of now puts them under a lot of pressure because you have the likes of X Team on boot camp hill. You're going to have teams coming in from the north, and they've put themselves into a massive corner that, they could get away with, but it's definitely going to be a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, definitely more difficult. And Xilin picking up even more kills, up to 3 points now. So Xilin, their strategy with this first circle, they know the center of the circle is probably occupied, right? Because they dropped towards the southeast. So now they're just prioritizing spreads and positions to catch these other teams trying to do the rotation off guard. Xilin, they're not rotating. They're hunting for the teams rotating in front of them. And it is working up. They're 3 kills. They're pressing aggressive here. I like this aggression. They might just pick up more, but it might be a mishap too if they don't execute it properly. We've seen one team already fall down to the wayside playing aggro.
Well, it seems like MF are, I don't want to say running away scared, but cautiously not wanting to take a fight, but that could go to bite them in the butt, because guess what? Tip Top, they're going to be there on the other side, waiting in the wings. CPDD looking to chuck out an nade. Dominovsky tries to retaliate to push Tip Top back, but more nades are being cooked up from the Tip Top side. MFR player down, so it does, of course, slow down their ability to turn this fight around in their favor. But Tip Top, they know they have a lack of information. Gustic evens things up quite nicely, gets a knock on the CPDD.
Yeah, very good nade right there. And you see, MF, they want to try and go aggressive because they realize if they keep staying there, they're just going to get finished out. So Gustic moving up slowly. The smokes do come out. Tip Top still got some more grenades left. He's trying to get the last one in onto the other player, but does not connect. Now, Tip Top, they're still holding the pressure. That one knock is not going to cause them to back out of this fight. So Tip Top holding their ground right now. The circle is about to shift. Meanwhile, Chi-Lin coming up behind MF. MF just caught in a nasty spot right now. It is a clock ticking down for them.
Hello, Darkness, my old friend. They're certainly doing a good job of trying to hold on. The matter when rather Nif is Dominovsky gets knocked down. Gustic, he's also going to follow suit, and that leaves Nader left on his own. Luckily, Nader's further back, and he's actually back behind Chi-Lin, so he, instead of being in between, being behind, at least allows him to stay back a bit, even if it means he takes a little bit of that blue zone damage in phase 3.
Yeah, if there was 3 teams I do not want to get shot at by so far, based on what I've seen game 1 and game 2, it's Chi-Lin, Tip Top, and Kingsman. And MF, they went from being shot at by Chi-Lin straight into Tip Top. So unlucky, to say the least, for them. And this last player of MF, he gave away his position. He tried to help his last 2 members up.
Did.
But now you see Chi-Lin sticking to their strategy. Don't focus on the rotations. We're already far behind. We're already late. Focus on the kills. And now you see them trying to find this last kill onto MF.
It's kind of shades of old style for Angry Men and PMGC, just sweeping through the edge and making sure that they have their backs covered, so when the time comes that they do need to push forward, they have that level of control plus a base amount of kills. Of course, phase 3 did center up, went a bit more to the east. The western side of Quarry is still in play. La Familia have been able to disengage away from boot camp calmly, while Fast Romania are on the eastern edge of Quarry. They're going to have to go through another couple of buildings before they're on the edge of the circle.
Fast Romania also down to 2. This is when you want manpower on Sanhok. Breaking into the edges of circle on Sanhok is one of the most difficult because you just have so much grass to cover, so much buildings to cover as you make a push in. So Fast Romania have the work cut out for them. And the 7 team in front of them, there's another player coming in from behind in the blue zone. So he might just get sandwiched here too.
Oh no, I don't know if Class is even going to make it though, to be fair, because he's not really much health-wise, so a feather would knock him down, but he makes it up to the side of the road. He doesn't know that Fast Romania are there, but Fast Romania don't really know that Classic was there. He makes it across the road in time. I kind of can't believe it, but that's the way it can work out. Sometimes a little bit of luck in your favor while the blue zone of phase 3 is still closing in. It's not really too difficult to handle a blue zone of phase 3, but of course the phase 4 will start to chunk down a lot more sufficiently.
Yeah, so Fast Romania, I don't mind them not shooting. They don't think they have the manpower, and scouting wise, they don't know what team is in front of them. Could be a 4-man team. The second they shoot, they're just going to be caught stuck. And that next circle shift, hard to the western side. That is the hardest of hard shifts. Okay. We're going to get ready for some chaos.
It's painful.
Imperium. it's going to be really painful for a lot of these teams.
Of course, Entropic do have a compound on the eastern edge of the circle, but they're going to have to deal with an onslaught of teams looking to crash. And to be fair, first one to get there is going to be Tip Top for the time being. Das Legion have played inside the blue for a predominant amount of time in this game. It's shades of that kind of playstyle that Scrim Farm used in PMPL. Definitely encouraged by Tati's presence in this Das Legion roster, but credit to Entropic as a three-man team, and initial knock onto one of the members of Tip Top. They're defending for their lives, yet to really get a strong result in day one of this PMCO fall split. Let's see if they can follow suit. One of their players has been knocked down, returned instantly. Tip Top, they're not out of the woods just yet. There's still a lot of pressure on board, being slowed down. Starkey is going to move across the road. Is he going to go for the revive on the sands? It's good, but backfire. He needs to be the one to slow down Tip Top even more.
Oh, the aggression out of Tip Top. I did not expect that. I thought this Tip Top player would just group up with the rest of his team, but he pushes it. And just third party, just like that. The Kings, Tip Top, and the Kingsmen are here now. And Entropic just eliminated just like that. Tip Top, though, is not done. So the Kingsmen and Tip Top, both teams that could really fight. We've seen it in their kill counts, and now they're caught on next to each other in a 3v3 situation. Who is going to come out on top for this one, Imperial?
Well, Tip Top have certainly gotten a good start. They're also able to loot up the bodies of their opponents, pick up a couple of more meds, and last of the utility that would have been on board. Maybe an extra Molotov, an extra nade. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, the eastern side of the blue zone of this circle is going to be a haven for engagements. And I can't help but feel that, in the words of Mustache Dave, Papa Blue is going to come into the mix, Ute, because Phase 5 is definitely going to hurt.
Oh, man. I wish there was a blue counter just to see how many players are in the blue zone. Like, oh, my. Well, I ask and I receive. That is nasty. That is so nasty. And the circle centers up onto the Bootcamp Hill. You talked about Bootcamp Hill like 3 minutes ago. Now that's where the zone's ending, and this circle cannot be any worse for every team involved in this match.
FTY on the western edge, they stayed by the kind of trifecta compound area, and another team has looked to push on by. Fast Romania do get taken out. 13 teams left, 34 players. Biscay goes down. He didn't play in the last game. He's playing in this one with Simple Zodax and Kal-El. They're trying to do their best to take down Das Legion. Das Legion went for a very wide rotation and low-key worked out, but they're down to just that one player, if I'm not mistaken. You can see right now, Tip Top are the team, the highest amount of kills so far in this game. 7 so far.
Yeah, 7 kills so far, but I believe this X team should be able to pick up a lot right now with this gatekeep opportunity. Hard gatekeeping, FTY. I love how they're leaving 2 players behind to make sure the pressure is there so FTY doesn't come in from behind them. Simple caught behind the tree, trying to heal it out, going for his little sprint, but Zombie says, nah, not on my watch, and that is FTY out. And X team, not only do they clear out their backs, they pick up the kill points. Those kills don't go out to the
beautiful. Really good. Uncalled for go down. 7 teams left. Bottle Fakers are eliminated. Conquer Romania. Binny Ba, they take down the last of MF. Vulcan doing what he can to allow his team to get a good result. The Kingsmen in the open, prone down the Jerry. Last player up has Red Moon in front by the buildings. The only buildings inside this Phase 6. So Red Moon, they have the opportunity to get a great chicken dinner in Sanhok.
Yeah, Red Moon get blessed with that circle. Tip Top down to 3-man on the southwestern side. The Kingsman on that new circle, not in zone. He's going to have to try and find some way up, but all the fighting is going to be centralized right now around this mountain side, as that's where all the other teams are that have yet to move to zone.
I love that sweep from La Familia. They know that they have to go up. this side of the hill because it avoids being third party. They get a knock onto one of the X-Team players. Of course, it doesn't help that Psyox did get knocked down, leaving Zombie left on his own. But that is a beautiful sweep from La Familia as a team up the hill, covering inside the building. But Zombie, with a beautiful nade, gets into the face of Wasted and he gets knocked down.
Yeah, La Familia doing great, multitasking, getting a knock onto the Red Moon, but the grenades, you can't ever prepare for the grenades. And Vulcan coming in.
Oh my god, oh my god, Vulcan.
The shots. Jerry picks up the kill point right there, I do believe so. Red Moon still safe in the compounds with 4 up. Tip Top down to just 1 player. And La Familia, they still have 4 up, just barely clinging on though, trying to get those revives through.
The circle moves away from pretty much all of these teams. Of course, Red Moon are the closest to the edge of the circle. Nice by Ed. He's going to move across the road into the rock, into the circle. Got to be aware of Tip Top on the other side. They are, but Zombie is going to help take them out. Down goes Tip Top. A good game nonetheless, securing 17 points in this game 3. We're left with our final 3 teams. La Familia, X-Team, and Red Moon. 4v1v4. 9 players left. La Familia, they don't have far to go to get into the circle, but can they make it?
I don't think so. This Red Moon defense is hard focused on them. They need a knock, or they need Zombie to come in huge. Maybe get a... Oh, no knocks through. La Familia 4v4, but they're at the disadvantage with circle pressing in behind them. No player has been knocked yet, and just as I say that, Evil Boy goes down, and another one down for La Familia. Red Moon looking strong to close this one out.
Yeah, Wasted Packy United, they can't really do much in this situation. Packy's knocked down to the blue, Wasted left on his own, in behind a tree. This is going to be that. Red Moon, they're going to seal the deal. They're going to grab a chicken dinner, and they secure it on Sanhok.
Yes, the chicken dinner tastes even better on Sanhok because it is just one tough map to get a chicken on, and they did a really good job and picked up kill points along the way. But Tip Top, we saw them. They didn't get the chicken dinner, but they picked up the kill points along with X-Team. These kills in Sanhok, you mentioned it, kills are so important on Sanhok more than any other map because that's how you fight your way in. There is no rotating around. I mean, we saw the teams try to rotate around, but pop out blue.
Yeah,
that's what you get when you try and loop around and you don't go straight in and take the fights.
I'm just really impressed with how a good few of these teams really kind of covered their backs and looked to clear out behind them by keeping 1 or 2 players in the blue. We saw that with X-Team, with Tip Top looking to get rid of the last MF player. It didn't happen. Actually, no, I think it did happen. But either way, my point is trying to secure that is just such a good sign of a team that knows how to handle Sanhok. And Red Moon getting that win, I think it was really deserved. Coming from Italy, ciao bella, my friends. Really good result from them, and didn't take for granted that compound. You can see that they were constantly taking shots from those buildings, looking to slow down, suppress, pick up here or there, and it showed in the end they were able to come out of that building in time and get the win.
Yeah, beautifully well done by Red Moon. But I want to take a look at the rankings. There was so much action everywhere. Like, a lot of these points that teams had are through the ways of kill points. Yeah, look at the very first page.
Yeah.
10 kills, 4 kills, 9 kills, 4 kills, 3 kills, 5 kills. The first page, majority of these points are through kill points. Not so much the placement points. New generation with only 1 placement point, but they're on the first page in terms of points from Sanhok because they picked up 5 kills. So good to see some teams capitalizing on the kill opportunities in Sanhok.
And I did say that X-Team needed to really kick off their PMCO day 1, and they certainly did. It may not have been that chicken dinner, but with 10 kill points, 20 in total, considering they were relying on 3 points coming into this game, that's a massive, massive boost in terms of just like helping to, of course, make it a lot easier coming into their next 4 games and adding to their level of confidence. But once again, La Familia, 4th place, 29 points in 2 games, 0 chicken dinners. May not be a chicken dinner again, but another consistent result. This team
Consistent.
is looking so healthy.
Yeah, consistency is way more important than chicken dinners. Chicken dinners might get you the momentum, right? Because the feeling of a chicken dinner is great, but consistency, that's where the points stack up. And speaking about consistency, Kingsman, I think we've seen the Kingsman on the front page all 4 games in a
Top
row.
5.
So the Kingsman, top 5, all 4 games in a row. Wow. That is consistency at the finest, right? I mean, of course, you can't get top 3 every game. Some teams, maybe, they could pull it off, but top 5, that is a huge feat in of itself. So shout outs to the Kingsmen. I'm loving what I'm seeing from them so far.
Yeah, and as we move into the second page, I think we are starting to see 3 or 4 kind of teams that could really make a big push for that PMPL spot. I know it's only day 1, but it's good to kind of highlight those players. Whereas FTY, not really as consistent. Entropic, 0 points. They're going backwards, for God's sake, as well as Daos Legion. All these teams, they're kind of, for the most part, really struggling on this day 1 of PMCO.
Day 1, let's just hope it's day 1 jitters. I mean, it is a thing. I've seen teams bounce back after a horrible day 1. Not very often, though, especially on the PMCO stage, where a lot of it is just inexperienced players that don't have the bounce back potential.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to count Entropic out yet. They have a coach. They have the staffing required to help them out. After today, tomorrow they get to relax. They get to do some VOD reviews. So maybe they'll come back stronger. We'll see, man.
I know. Yeah, of course, we'll definitely have to wait and see. It's not over. At all. Quattro Fakers, it's not too bad that they got 10th place with only 3 points. They were in a healthy spot of 5th place overall after those first 2 games, so it's not going to hurt them too much. FTY were in the middle of the pack. It's not going to help that they got a bad result, but with, one more game to go, Zute, there's that kind of 25 to 30 minutes left to really make a mark in this day 1, send a bit more of a message to the teams in Group C and Group D, because no doubt those teams should be looking at today's games, taking their own notes, doing their own research, and just have a look at, what kind of competition is around them coming into their first 4 games tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking about tomorrow, we're only into day 1, and the action has been so fast-paced. In that last Sanhok game, I'm surprised I didn't see any med stratting. I think these EU teams, man.
Yeah.
I'm already noticing a difference. 3 matches in, to me, these teams seem much more aggressive than other regions as far as PMCO goes. I mean, we see it in the kill points. Certain teams just come out on top through kills alone consistently. So that is beautiful to see.
Yeah, 1 more game to go. Let's head to a break. We'll be back on your screens real soon, and we'll be heading on over to the wonderful world of Erangel. 3 games down, one more to go on day 1 of the PMCO EU West fall split. Zute, let's get straight into having a look at the overall standings, see where these teams lie, who's looking good, who's looking bad, and see what they can do coming into the final game.
Yeah, speaking about looking good, the top 3, like to point out in specific, second place and third place right now, 0 chicken dinners, and they're in the top 3. That is consistency right there. I love how well some of these teams are doing right now. Chilin in 4th right behind with that 1 chicken dinner. These teams are looking really strong. They 1 game left to go. Can they carry it over? We'll just have to see, but taking a look at the second page, right? These are the teams. This is the last game of the day, and they don't play tomorrow. So this is the last chance for them kind of to bring it back.
Yeah, it's very much about them being in their own. It's kind of like when if you're doing any kind of racing and you're doing qualifying for that race, you're really battling against yourself rather than the rest of the lobby, because it's really important for you to gather as many points as you can in this final game, so that even if you are technically still 13th or 14th, at least you have a little bit, potentially stronger base amount of points compared to Group C and Group D tomorrow. So I'm looking for kind of Seven Sins, Conqueror, Uncalled For, Douse Legion to step up their game a little bit in this last game and pull out, 8 to 10 points and at least add a bit of weight to the run in the PMCO.
Yeah, if I had a bet on one team to get a chicken dinner in the bottom 8 right here, I would put my money probably on Seven Sins or FTY. I've noticed these 2 teams in particular, they go out fighting. So if on this very last game, they could get their execution down a little bit better, they could get a chicken dinner here. But seeing how dominant and consistent the first page teams are, like the top 8, I'm probably going to have to give a chicken dinner to one of those top 8 teams, but we'll see. It's the last game of the day. This is where teams on the bottom rankings, pressure's on, and it might just help them push on through and get the chicken dinner for the last game.
Yeah, one team that I kind of noticed is doing pretty good as well is New Generation. Not so much in placement points, but I'm really happy with the amount of kill points they have. 16 kill points compared to their 9 placement points. So let's see if they can at least balance it out with a strong ending in this final game of the day. Of course, the PMCO EU West is brought to you by the wonderful folks over at Xiaomi. You yourself can enjoy a super fast and lag-free PUBG Mobile experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G. So you think Zute, this last game is going to go to one of the top 8?
Most likely. It's just they're so dominant. Like we've seen like decisiveness out of these teams in different situations. It's not so much they get the circle and the game kind of fizzles out and they win, right? It's decisiveness. Yeah. So I'm ready to see this very last match of Erangel that we're about to head right into. Who is going to take the last chicken dinner of the day? I mean, we'll find out real soon.
Just, oh man, it missed me, doing a plane movement with my hands. Oh well, unfortunate timing. But let's get this show on the road. Zute, the plane path isn't looking too bad. I think diagonally from the southwest over to a bit more of a northern tip. So it's definitely more western heavy, it seems. But not the worst plane path.
Yeah, this plane path, at least it stretches from one direction to another and both ways, right? It's not like a south plane path on the south side going one way right over military base. I've seen those before, and those are not pretty to start a game. It's entertaining because you get some teams that just, fight for cars, and you see some people get run over. But this one, I don't think we'll see anything much. And nobody hot dropped the first game of Erangel either. So it should be a rather slow, calm start. Everybody should be able to get to where they want to. No problem. No action.
Curious to see if anyone was going to go into Pachinki. Not going to be the case. Fast Romania definitely going to take advantage of that more military base, healthy playing path and head in that direction. New generation going for a wonderful split drop between Ferry Pier and the compound on the coastal line of the mainland. And would you look at that? Phase 1 complements the playing path. It's going to be on towards that southwestern side.
Southwestern circle. There's a small chance we could go to military base, but I am doubting that. And yeah, once again, Pachinki not occupied. Now that could go both ways for me as a competitive player watching this, right? It could mean teams are very comfortable in their current drop and they have a very well tailored strategy in terms of rotating into various circles. So they don't want to take a free open city just because they're comfortable and they believe they could do well from where they already drop. Now, on the flip side, it could also mean teams aren't as adaptable or experienced from rotating from different starting positions. So, I mean, Pachinki, it's right there. It's open, but it's not taken again. I'd rather see another team drop there just so they can have center start at the game.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate slash just being a bit of an a-hole. I casted a scrim where we had a very similar phase on circle and it actually ended up in the water. Believe it or not.
No way.
In the water. Yeah,
like what,
honestly, in between the south of Ferry Pier. Well, it was more towards the edge of the military island, but it ended in the water. It was absolutely hilarious, crazy. I kind of want to see that again. So if it happens, you can all blame me, players.
I watched another PMCO, I believe, where it ended in water. But one thing I'd never seen before where it ended in water is when the players are all stacked up on each other, right, towards the ending, because this blue zone's closing. There's like just one spot of water left. I saw a player get pushed up out of the water because there's so many players there that he got pushed up and was able to shoot his gun and he killed a player and then dropped back into the water. Did you see that?
That's exactly what happened. Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Oh, no way.
It was so cool. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's happened multiple times in different games then. Maybe it'll happen.
Yeah.
Just maybe.
Maybe. Oh, we can hope we can. I love how excited I got when he started saying, I was like, no. Is he gonna say the same thing as I saw? Is he? Then when you were like, yeah, awesome. But anyway, back to this game. Teams are for the most part spread quite nicely in around this map. It is obviously going to be quite a lot more difficult for the teams on that northeastern / northern side of the map. So I'm kind of looking at Entropic, X Team, Daus Legion a little bit. Actually, sorry, no, not Daus Legion. Seven Sins. It's definitely going to be Chi-Lin for them to kind of move into this phase 1 confidently.
Yeah, and we're 5 minutes into the match, and the rotations are just now starting to come out. One team that we saw rotate extremely fast the very first game that led to them getting the chicken dinner was Tip Top. I believe the timing was around the 4 minutes and 20 seconds plus mark. We're now at 5 minutes 15.
Okay.
I'm taking a look at my mini map, and they have not rotated yet. So, I mean, that might be just due to the plane path being different. So, I don't know if they usually rotate very fast on Erangel or if it was specifically the plane path and the circle of game 1. Well, I'm curious to see where Tip Top picks to rotate when they do rotate.
It's cool because I kind of did mention that during the first game, right? When I talked about at least X Team and the timing of the rotation, if they were going to learn, and you highlight that with Tip Top, and I do think it is a product of the plane path comparative to the circle, and they are for the most part a little bit closer to this phase 1, and they can kind of wrap around north of Pachinki area, maybe end up on the church side, stop, get a little bit of information. But the timing and you noting that is definitely complementary to what we have mentioned already throughout these 4 games.
Yeah, definitely. And timing, it's the rotation timing is also something that's very top teams like PMPO, PMGC level teams, they stick to a very strict timing. They literally watch the clock and the time right when it hits a certain timer amount, it is time to go. That's how strict they are. It's not when you have a level 2 vest, level 2 helmet, or first aid M4. Okay, everyone has those. Okay, now we go. It's literally, it's 4 minutes. We're leaving now. Time to go. So I want to see that out of some of these PMCO teams. As we go on into the further stages, maybe we'll get to see more of that repeated throughout the process. And then we'll also be able to compare if like those are the teams near the top. The strict timing rotations plays a factor, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think what maybe has slowed down Tip Top's rotation is the fact that they haven't maybe really been able to get too many vehicles, or at least not 4 vehicles for the time being. FTY are certainly moving in quite nicely into this phase 1, but one of the Conquer Romania players by that kind of Pachinki Hill area, it's not going to be too much pressure in their direction. That's one thing that I think some teams that are already inside the circle should be a little bit more aware of. Even if they're not deep into this phase 1, having 2 or 3 players together, it would have been a much better chance of them knocking a kill onto one of those FTY players. So that was a bit of a missed opportunity for Conquer Romania.
Yeah, usually first circle shift, you get players that have found loot, finished looting earlier because they got their gear, so they rotate out first to scout, and the rest of the team still continues to loot.
Yeah.
That's probably the main reason why we see so many teams split during the first rotation. And it usually doesn't go too bad. And it is the first circle. You don't need to lock down a position in the very first circle, right? The circle shifts, you don't know where it's going to go. But on the flip side, like you mentioned, Imperium, if players are more close together, they can take advantage of other teams rotating split up, and they can maybe get a knock and a kill. But we're not seeing it here. Oh, Tip Top, though, in the kill feed, picking up a kill right there in the blue.
Yeah.
So, not rotating, but they do get rewarded with the kill.
Yeah, you take it. I'm not saying they in any way planned it, but just being aware when you're inside the blue is definitely not a bad thing. So Quattro Fakers, player down. They're healthy in the overall standings, to be fair, 5th place with a total of 26 points. But that phase 2 is tricky. Just want to say once again, the water's still in play.
Yeah, there's a lot of water still in play. It shifted towards the water. Like that ferry pier is going to get very congested now. This makes things really interesting. 2 of the top teams, Tip Top and Shilin, right? Still far in the east side in the blue zone. So I think this is a game where we'll get to see them really have to fight their way in, because there's not much room left already in the second circle to play with so much water in the zone.
Faster Romania, they stayed in Military Island. Zute, that's got to be a bad idea, right? They should have moved out in phase 1.
Ooh, yeah, I'm looking at the minimap right now. They could still move out. That bridge across the ways isn't taken yet, but they're not making a move to do any scouting whatsoever.
I know.
They're just kind of sitting there. That does worry me. Oh, this position though that you see on screen, I love this position. It's a recent, not too recent, but in the most recent big update with Erangel, they added this kind of bunker, shelter, trenches area, and that spot is so strong. And the action that plays out there if the zone ends around there, it's always great to watch.
Beautiful rotation from Red Moon. The Italian side that secured their chicken dinner from a predominantly compound-held area in Sanhok, looking to do the same thing. But now 7 Sins, they crashed onto a team in the first game of the day, and they ended up going down. Attempt number 2, as they're going to go into the loving arms of La Familia. But La Familia are definitely a hard team to crack as Packy Day, he's held onto a building on the other side, so he's possibly going to be able to support the rest of his team. The breach has been made into the building by Juji, using that TPP perspective to have an idea on where that player is spotted down. Wasted gets a knock. A good start. Evil Boy's going to support another knockdown onto Seven Sins. This is La Familia holding their ground beautifully in this compound.
Oh, this is the second time Seven Sins have went aggressive. Like I said, I like the aggression. They opened up with a knock and then they pushed in, but the execution. Tips to viewers that are watching, that are trying to play more aggressive. What Seven Sins did, perfectly fine, going aggressive there. But you need to open up a secondary knock, in my opinion, with Util. The first knock is the opening to get close. They will get that revive. The second knock is with Util, and since you're already close, now you could capitalize off that knock. So Seven Sins going aggressive once again. Not working out, not able to find the util knock that they really needed. But La Familia played that defense so perfectly, just as well.
Yeah, they did. Wasted staying prone down as he did while still being proactive. Packy holding onto a building beside was really good. Next phase about to pop up. Dao's Legion and the Kingsmen are in their own little fight, which for the most part seems to be going in the favor of the Kingsmen. But that phase 3 shift, on one hand, it's good because it shifts up north, but on the other hand, kind of feels bad, man, because the water is out of play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, water no longer in play. Maybe like the beach shorefront of Ferry Pier. There's like, you can find some sand and some water there. But this circle, it is like 99% land. And Lin is rotating around the military base side, and Fast Romania still, they're still, I mean, they're probably thinking, okay, no way should anyone be on military island still. We could rotate in from here, but they might just run into Fast Romania. We'll see. But the circle has shifted, and the teams are moving out. MF, oh, Buggy getting caught on a tree. Does pick up enough speed to make it out of that one. Uncalled for, not able to get the knock on that player.
MF have gotten a little bit deeper into the circle, timely moving away from a team behind them. But now as they stop on top of the hill, they should be aware that there is uncalled for behind them. There is a team lurking in the wings. So I would arguably actually hold on to that compound with one of the players and see how it befits you. But MF are going to do something similar. Instead of holding onto the hill, they're going to more calmly head into that compound. Nice opportunity to pick up some level 3 gear. An AWM from Fierce. Will that be able to crack a couple of heads inside this lobby?
Oh, loaded out. I mean, the AWM, always nice to have in hand, and especially in this circle, it might come in handy because what we have in this circle right now, the center of the circle is just all open fields, and you have like maybe 7 different shacks spread out. We might get a shack attack circle next phase where we'll see various teams just be crashing into these shacks. And if you have an AWM, if you get an opening onto a 2-man, a 3-man, or like just a solo player at a shack trying to stay alive, I mean, that's a beautiful clean lock for you guys to push in. So we'll see what happens. Conqueror Romania taking shots right here on Xilen, rotating on the beach side. Ooh, that Buggy lost the wheel. Nice. And beautiful shots out of Vulcan. Absolutely beautiful.
Lovely. Now, I do have to say, despite them, well, actually, that isn't going to be confirmed, I don't think.
Is Xilen gonna push back? There's no way. I mean, they are comfortable in 4th place, but I would love to see them return the favor and push. That would be insane to see. But Xilen so fast with the cover. They did not let their teammate die. That guy, a teammate, instantly went back with the buggy, dropped down smokes, used his car, used his body to cover, and that snipe was well done. And the circle shift. Oh, we're getting the center on that bunker I was talking about. That bunker by... Oh, yeah, it's going to be good.
New generation in a good spot. FTY in that compound. That's just on the other side of the hill. But Fast Romania, they were in that military island Hillside, they moved across ahead of Shilin. Red Moon, they're in their own little battle against Dao's Legion. Sava, he's going to go down. Nice play by Red Moon. That's going to be the end of Dao's Legion. Not a good end to day one for them. While Red Moon, they're going to pick up more kills too so far in this game for them.
Yeah, shack attack happening right now, and it is Eutropics, and this is the edge of the zone. You're going to lose all your vehicles here, and when that circle shifts, you're pretty much guaranteed done for. And now they have managed to pick up 1 kill point at least, but it's not looking too good for them for the rest of this game.
X team still outside of the circle on the kind of more directly western edge. It seems like they're going for a bit of a sweeping rotation down onto the southwestern side, but you can see that there's always already a hotbed of action as the Kingsmen going for a wild sweep. Red Moon are going to get crashed upon by Uncalled For. I don't think they know that Ed is there. They don't know that Ed is there. Molotov goes out and knocked by Chrono. This is Red Moon catching Uncalled For out off guard, but now shots in the direction of Ed. He has to prone back down, knowing there's a team on the hillside. Chiquita inside the shack while the nade is getting cooked up. Molly's smokes everything that Red Moon can do to keep their game alive, and Chiquita, he gets knocked down.
Beautiful execution by Red Moon. They sent one player to pressure that while the rest cover. You saw the Uncalled For try and come out of the shack to deal with that nuisance that was tossing nades in, and instantly one got knocked. Beautiful execution by Red Moon clearing out that shack, but they're not in the circle completely just yet. Even after they clear this team, they got more to go with, more to deal with, but they are getting peppered up by the 2 other teams on the southwestern edge of this circle.
I like the fact that kind of X team recognized that they couldn't go too deep on that southwest side, so they stuck to that hillside on the direct western edge. Zombie knocking down Coco, while Tip Top continue to rack up the kills. Conquer Romania gonna be their latest victims. Bogdan and Dino Boy, the 2 players left alive, separated. You gotta see him, stupid pig. No, you don't see him. The smoke isn't gonna hold him down. Boom! There you go. Crank finds him. Sorry, Killer, should I say finds him.
Tip Top. This time we're seeing Tip Top working from the edge. No zone bless this game, and they're still 4 strong, and they're fighting their way in. I love to see it. Conquer Romania, though. Oh my! The second he pulled out of cover, I heard
man,
a band of like drum taps in my ear,
and
it was the bullets slamming into that car. That guy died as quick as can be. And the next circle, New Generation. Let's see what the defense got, because there's a lot of nooks and crannies there, and there's going to be a lot of teams smashing into that position on the next circle.
New Generation are looking this going, talking about my generation, my circle, my game. But of course, as the circle continues to head in their direction, it will put them under technically a bit more pressure, because their position is going to be the focus of 2 to 3 teams. Luckily for them, 3 of these teams are kind of fighting against each other and slowing each other down. Although we do see Quattro Fakers are going to go for that push up the hill. Chilling are behind. They see that. Might be able to take him out from behind.
This might work out for Nugent. There's going to be just enough teams on their edge to all fight each other. And Nugent could just rain down the util, just take the shots for free. No team is able to push straight into them. So Nugent, this is their game. Like you said, they could farm a lot of kills here in this situation.
They just can't let teams get too close, and they've got to focus on one fight at a time. I know Chilin is holding on to kind of a bit more of a southeast area. The 2-2 split for New Generation is good, but I feel like a 3-1 would be a lot stronger to really take down Quattro Fakers. We'll have to wait and see. X-Team are on that western edge. Bangs is doing a wonderful job on his own. It's only 1 kill for New Generation, but he's fighting as if he's picked up 3 or 4. Tip Top could, to be fair, slow Chilin down themselves. They're on that eastern side, so fight here or there as FTY had to move away. They were going to get punished by Tip Top. 10 teams left, 32 players. This is the last game of day one of the PMCO EU West.
Yeah, here we see it. One of New Gen is knocked and thirsted. Their defense goes down to 3, but I think they've stabilized enough that all the teams close enough to hard push them have been taken out. So they do lose 1 player, pick up 2 kills. Oh, the Chi-Lin player, though, on the eastern side.
Yeah.
Like, they're basically next door neighbors. They're right next to each other on the mini-map. Now, there's a lot of nooks and crannies, like I said, so they can coexist for a couple seconds more, but the grenades are coming out. Chi-Lin looking to make the push in.
Yeah, nice hard cover Bulgaria by Keme, at least slowing down the push by Chi-Lin, because they have to be aware that they don't have the biggest amount of information. Chi-Lin are sticking together. They've avoided Tip Top for the time being. Go comes in. Keme hasn't been spotted. Oh my god. What the hell is going on in from behind? Is that not going to be secured? No, it's not going to be. It's going to be Chi-Lin to come in and get the knock. Bangs was able to find something, but it's not going to be enough because now he's left on his own, and Bo holding it down. Bangs is going to try and move away. That was a crazy little interaction, but for the most part, Chi-Lin with 6 kills already in this game are coming out on top.
7 kills now right there when they picked up another one. The timing of it did kind of work out. I love when that player springed up. He had his 2 teammates come in to push as well. But what happened was one of them got knocked, so everything got slowed down. So now that's Chi-Lin down to 3, controlling a strong, favorable position. Tip Top still in the game. Oh, getting knocked down right there in the kill feed. And this team snaking in from the blue zone out in the field. That is not where you want to be.
Well, you said about Entropic when they had that shack that they had their vehicles going down, and now they have to move in on foot. Wasted is going to take advantage of that one. Picks up 1. Sharky's left on his own. The blue zone is going to engulf him if it's not Wasted. Down goes Entropic. MF also taken off the board. La Familia, wonderful in this last game. If they make it into the top 5, I believe that'll be every single game a top 5 finish for La Familia. A hell of a start for them in the PMCO. But X team, they have a full squad up. 2 inside the circle, 2 outside the circle. Great control from them.
Yeah, good spacing. I love that spacing. They realize they have the control where they are, so they space out a bit more to, finish off the teams on the edge. When you get into the late game, usually what happens is if you don't clear off your backside, there's always that one snake that comes in and knocks you at the worst time. And just as I say that, Chi-Lin gets a knock onto that. Chi-Lin down to 3, but looking strong, controlling their spacing just as well.
4 teams left. La Familia goes down, but it wasn't 5th, believe it or not. So that's every game top 5 finish for La Familia. Chi-Lin, with the help of Wasted getting a knock on one of the X-Team players, will maybe be able to turn something around. But Psyox, can he catch Koi off guard? Yes, he can. The snake in the grass will pull it off, down by the dip. In cover, looks to confirm that kill. Takes the time away. Takes the control. While Bo, 1 or 2 players left. Him and Crank going to be doing everything that they can inside this cover. The edge, southwest. But the circle has shifted away. Zute, this could be another tip-top chicken dinner.
I mean, the circle has shifted to FTY, and FTY have 4 players up. Tip Top just down to 1 snake. It'll be a miracle if Tip Top can get the chicken dinner here. But I have to give this one to FTY. And wait a second, FTY, wasn't that one of the teams on the second page that I said if a second page team was going to get a chicken dinner out of the 2, it would be FTY?
Sir. Well, you called it.
I mean, it hasn't happened. No. It hasn't happened yet. We still got a couple minutes left. We'll see how FTY closes this one out.
Well, Crank getting a knock and another kill onto one of the X-Team players will certainly help them. But he's also trying to deal with the last player of Tip Top. Syax pushes forward. Here's the shots from FTY. Simple is going to be down on towards that lower side. Biscay behind the rock, behind the circle. It's good for FTY. They have a few players inside holding their ground, not going too far forward, while Nightmare is getting revived up. X-Team are down to 2 players. Sheila down to 1. Make that one, because Simple finds that one, and with the help of Crank Zombie is going to get knocked on board. Nightmare looking to avenge his brother, the Kosovo team. Nightmare has a hell of a lot of experience in PUBG Mobile competitive. He's going to look to make that very useful in this final game as a solo player for his side. At the end of the day, this is an FTY 4-man spread deep in the middle of the circle. Down goes Crank. Biscay picks that one off.
All right, so 4v1v1 situation. Tip Top Killer and X-Team. Tip Top is out. Now it's a 4v1 situation. FTY looking to claim their chicken dinner here, and they are going all out. Nightmare, the best he could do is get a knock and a thirst, but that buggy coming in and the MG3. That, I think, if I saw that correctly, that was 27 points for FTY.
Beautiful.
Oh,
beautiful.
Beautiful. Well done. I love it when a prediction comes true, too.
I know, especially because at the start of the day, I highlighted them as a team that could really do well in this PMCO and Biscay individually. And to be fair, in the first 3 games, they'd shown sparkles of it, but hadn't really lived up to it. You highlighted them coming into this final game as a team that could get a chicken dinner from the bottom half teams. And man, what a great performance. It's so well played. And coming in on the East, let's be fair, it wasn't easy for them because that compound that they held on to at the bottom of the hill when the circle moved away, I thought that they might get like messed up by Tip Top, for example. But they dealt with Tip Top fantastically.
Yeah, and Tip Top is not an easy team to be pressured by. So FTY, they have the gunpowder, they have the team synergy to fight. I mean, it stood out to me in the Miramar game when it came down to that 1v1 between Simple, go for the res or go for the push. That's decision making under pressure is really what separates, good players from the great players. And FTY looking like a great team right now. And we're going to head into the match ranking to just see how well all these teams actually did over the course of 4 games.
It's absolutely big part. Just this last game, how good FTY looked compared to the other teams, at least from the points result, is incredible. Tip Top ending the day in first place with that beautiful chicken dinner. 29 kills to 34 placing points, a wonderful balance. But La Familia, 0 kills. It doesn't matter. 55 points. That's like 10.5 points per game. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, the top 3, the top, I would say, the top 6 all looking really strong. Past the 40-point mark, that's an average of, I'm doing math on stream right now.
That's an average of over 10 points per game. Yeah.
Thank you, Imperium. Yeah, 10 points per game. That is really good to see. Now going into 7th and 8th, it drops off a little bit, but man, FTY, that 27-point game, that is more than half their total points in one game. So all it takes is that one game to pop off. But I mean, we both called it. You said it at the beginning of the broadcast. FTY is looking like a team to keep an eye out for. After 3 games, I noticed, hey, they're not doing too well. But when the pressure's on, they could tough it out. They could fight. And that is a huge skill to have, especially at the PMCO stage. And that last game, it rewarded them. Now they're in the top 5.
X-Team as well, they went from X-Team went from kind of 8th to 5th. They really showed up big in this game to me. 23 placement points, 19 kill points. Our Kosovo team is looking very healthy. But let's have a look at the second half of the standings. The teams that haven't really had a good start in the day 1 of PMCO. You can say that despite New Generation being in 9th, I honestly don't regard that as a bad day for them,
Mhm.
safer on call for, 23, 29
Mhm.
points. I think that's a healthy start.
I mean, New Generation is 1 point away from being in the top 8, right? So they are on the
Exactly.
second half of the page. But if you take a step back and look, they're pretty much right in the middle of the pack. Now, for the teams going past down uncalled for, like when we're heading into the 11th place and onwards, yeah, these teams definitely not a good day. One team in particular, Seven Sins EU, we've seen them lose 3 players to the whole entire team very early on, being aggressive. Now, I don't know if it's because they got the jitters or if they
Mm.
just usually can't do the aggression, but I feel like they might have to switch up their game plan just a little bit if it's not working out.
They just need to kind of, to me, take like most of the teams in the bottom half, take a good hard look at today's games, evaluate your own performance, have a look at the broadcast, do some comparisons, and just have a couple of healthy kind of team VCs about it. Then spend a bit of time practicing more, training, and focusing on a couple of different elements. I don't know if you would agree from your kind of competitive experience,
Yeah.
Ute, how you go from, so to speak, being at the bottom of the standings to the top, so to speak.
Yeah, it's if you have a bad day one, VOD review is a must. Even if you do well, like it's VOD review should be happening
Okay.
all day, every day, regardless of if you're doing well or you're not doing well. There's always something to be learned, and
Yeah.
team discussions are a must. And if Seven Sins and Etropics are watching right now, I mean, I wasn't there in your player comps, and this is from an outside point of view based on what little we did get to see. But I think these two teams are polar opposites. Seven Sins, maybe they need to dial it back, play a little more passive, pick their fights more carefully. And Nootropics, I don't really feel like we really got a chance to see them go down fighting. From what I can recall, they were just trying to play it safe for far too long and didn't make a decisive play to break in, like an all or nothing type of thing. So these two teams, polar opposite play styles, both can work, but they need to clean it up, but either being passive or being aggressive.
I'm going to be harsh on Entropics here, and it comes from a place of love. They looked like 4 classic players who've never played with each other. And I know that comes across in a really bad way, but they were getting picked off individually in games. They didn't really look like they knew where they wanted to go. And as a roster who have played together for quite a while, there's a lot of history there. I just expect more. So build on
Yeah.
that. Prove me wrong in your next 4 games, and book your place in the finals of PMCO and Tropic. I believe you guys can do it. I've always been a supporter of them, but I can't help but point out from what we saw today.
Yeah, I mean, when push comes to shove, right? If you're not doing well, you're not doing well. And words need to be said to, like you said, out of a place of love. Like, not just for this team, all the teams that we've watched that struggled, that didn't do well. I mean, it's a competition at the end of the day, and you're here to get better, right? That's why you want to compete. You want to improve. You want to make a name for yourself. You want to clap these other teams. You want to show why you deserve to be here. And I know it is only PMCO, but like I said at the beginning of the broadcast, you never know how far a team could go from PMCO. We've seen it before, all the way to PMGC.
Exactly. Well, there's a lot more days to go in the PMCO EUS. This was only just day 1 over and done with. Tomorrow we're going to have Group C, Group D. Thank you so much to the sponsors of the PMCO EUS. Xiaomi, you yourself can of course enjoy super fast and lag-free PUBG mobile experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G. I'm Imperium with Zute. You all have a wonderful evening. Stay safe. And we'll see you all at the same place, same time tomorrow for some more PMCO action.